The stream is smooth today. Well, anytime I'm in a hotel, it's a
Oh,
crapshoot.
yeah.
You know, it's okay. All that wuss. And we should be everywhere in just a moment. I hope. We shall see. Yeah, okay, good. All right, pause it on there so I'm not watching myself. And hi, stream. What's happening? Good morning. Good hello, Chris Hurt. Good to see you. This is it's good. It's a crazy Saturday. This is the one that might change the game, is what everybody's saying.
Really?
For Biden, especially in South Carolina, it's the first state with majority black voters expected. It will be a curious thing. And then there's Operation Chaos, which I'm sure you've heard about.
No.
You've not heard about Operation Chaos?
No.
Morning, chat room.
Is that part of the text that I got from Mike Bloomberg?
Well, touche. I think pretty much every text you get from Mike Bloomberg is an act of chaos.
God.
I always hit him with the new phone. Who dis?
Yeah, that's great.
I should have thought of that.
Yeah,
When they said, "Can we count on your vote?" I just had to reply, "Nope."
yeah.
Fuck.
That's really weird to me. The man. That's right. How are you? My hair is getting so shaggy right now. I love it, but it's like I'm in that mid zone of like, how do you shape it until it's got a shape?
Yeah.
Because
All my hair problems are long gone.
Go live in 60, guys.
Thanks, Devin.
You're welcome.
this is and tonight there's it's like the tyranny of options in so much as doing the comedy, doing Sexy Liberal for the first time tonight, because I'm big on like rotating my act literally every week. And
Sure.
in the last round of Sexy Liberal, it wasn't as much work because not as much happened. There was always something to add on, but we were basically chasing the same stories for a few weeks in a row.
Remember the good old days.
Yeah, don't you? Oh, hi. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Does it look and sound okay? Thank you, Carl. I appreciate that. Hi, Amy.
I
Right.
have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Live exclusively for WCPT in Chicago, standing up and speaking out, here's Hal Sparks.
Well, good morning to you on what is the launch day of the new Sexy Liberal Unity Tour. Build your acronym shirts at your own will, at your own peril. And I'm in Seattle today, which is a great city that I have spent a good amount of time in. I've not only done stand-up here with the Sexy Liberal Tour before, I've done stand-up here myself over the years many, many times. I've even done shows at fundraisers for local politicians and mayors of Seattle over time. Like, I feel, and in many ways, some of my favorite bands come from this city. So I've had an outsized interest in this city for a very long time. So I'm very excited to be
Heart
here.
fan.
I am a huge Heart fan. This is true.
Yeah.
I'm also a big Queensryche fan.
Oh, yes.
I'm also a very big Alice in Chains fan. So
Right.
it's always exciting to be in Seattle. It's a little early. I need coffee. I don't know where I'm going to find it, but I'm sure I'll be able to look around after the show.
Just keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, I'm gonna. And I was struck as soon as I hit the ground. I think many of us were shocked when a couple of people dropped out early in the race, thinking, if they were looking now, they would have gone, they have to be sitting on the sidelines going, why did I get out?
Yeah, should
Why-
have stuck it out.
I should have
yeah.
stuck it out. I could have, and And Schultz kind of is one of those people, like walking around with as many Starbucks as there are in this town. He must be looking at Steyer and Bloomberg going, why did I don't understand. I should have. It would have been a battle of 3 billionaires. But either way, I can't help but think that some of the people who were in this in the beginning are kind of looking at the state of the race and going, you know what, maybe I could have hung on. It's an interesting thing. And many of them may have decided for the betterment of the party that doing that weighed down their argument because there were other more viable candidates that were taking up a bit of, they're on a bicycle in the fast lane. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Okay. If you're on a bicycle in the fast lane, you might want to get off the road. I know you think everybody's going in the same direction, but you're actually slowing down traffic. There, I said it. All right, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to assign it to any individual. You can decide for yourself. This, we are up this day in particular. There's a lot of talk about what the Republicans are calling Operation Chaos, and Johnny, you're familiar with that just from, I think, Get Smart.
Operation Mindcrime?
Yeah, Operation Mind. Yeah, no. Yeah, Operation Mindcrime sounds a little closer to the truth.
I think about Operation Mindcrime every time I roll down my window.
Yeah, of course. Kill her. Yeah, right. Absolutely. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you have a musical gap in your life. Yeah, you got some homework to do. There's a hole in your life. Act says I look really tired. I am really tired, but I've been on the road. I will be fine. See, the thing is,
to say.
I know, but it's true. It's okay.
If it came from love,
it does. They're just.
Is he going to ask you if you're pregnant next?
Yes, well, actually,
oh boy,
no. It was I
blew it.
It's a wheat thing. I have a gluten bloat. But the reality is that I'm on night show time schedule, so early radio is always extra hard when I'm doing more nighttime travel and nighttime shows. That's all I'm saying. So anyways, the South Carolina primary is happening today. We have heard for a very long time, and there's been a consistent narrative, and I certainly believe there is a profound truth in it, that black voters, especially in states like South Carolina, are the root of the Democratic Party, are the essence of it. And now by the numbers, population-wise, if that's the base of your party, you're in trouble just because of the numbers. Because we're talking about age range and consistent voters somewhere between 8 and 11% of the population, right? But along with that, as a root of that conversation about black voters and especially black women being the kind of the root of the Democratic base, what always accompanies that is a large swath of voters of other ethnicities, and a big chunk of white people especially, that in the Democratic Party.
Like a gaggle of geese and a chunk of white people.
That's right. It basically is. A bunch of bunch of Canadian geese who care about black women's voices being heard and the black vote being respected. You know what I mean? So yes, there's this 6 to 8% of hardcore black voter support, across the swath of it. It's much larger, obviously. It's outsized in states like Georgia and states like South Carolina. But the rest of the vote is, the base of the Democratic Party that isn't black women, is people who want to make sure that what black women are experiencing, what they are saying, what they are going through, and what their needs are heard, respected, and given space for, right? I mean, that's the base of the Democratic Party in whole. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the actual volume of human beings that represent it from all sorts of groups. And that doesn't even, get into that also rolls out into a respect for first generation, second generation immigrant families from all over the world that are coming here that have a specific experience that they want to, bring into the political discourse and their life experience that feeds into the narrative of this is, what Hillary called the stronger together kind of idea, right?
Right.
And it's very weird to me that in the lead up to the primary, we heard a lot of talk about that. The conversation about the vote in the primary nonstop, especially on MSNBC, but there was obviously every surrogate that got on CNN was talking about this particular group, was saying black women are the root of the Democratic Party as a voice. And then as soon as Iowa and New Hampshire happened, that conversation dried up. You know what I'm saying? I have not heard that.
People don't talk about the black woman being the heart and soul of the
it started to thin out, and the only place it was discussed was very heavy voting block areas like South Carolina, like talking about that, but in a distancing kind of a way, like, well, that's, Joe Biden's counting on black voters for South Carolina. Will it be enough? This is happening, and but there's Denver, there's always Colorado, and it's weird to me that conversation went away, and I find it oddly inappropriate. We'll talk about that more later.
It's weird to me that people talk about Joe Biden and black voters.
But it's not, as he was the vice president to our first black president. He was a trusted ally. Obama did put him in charge of a couple of very serious things. And he's arguably the most sort of working class guy there, oddly enough. As far as...
That's crazy.
Because he didn't work as a corporate lawyer. He didn't, he hasn't been, he's been a politician for a very long time. But before that, he was a criminal defense attorney, or a public defender. So, I mean, I don't want to say that all the people who were getting public defenders were criminals. I guess that's my point. Especially if he was a good lawyer, I guess. I don't know. But it's just a fascinating part of it. I hope the conversation kind of levels out now. I was just struck by how much it dried up, which brings us to Operation Chaos. Operation Chaos is, of course, and there was a little of this last time in 2016, not a ton, but in the open primaries and the caucuses like Nevada, where you can write in your stuff and not have to physically show up, you can basically, it's like a primary vote, but it's really a caucus set up in Nevada, so you didn't have to be there. And in those cities and in those counties and states that have, where the system is a little more open and malleable, California will be one as well. You can be a Republican in the morning and a Democrat by noon. And you can vote for whomever, and you can vote legitimately because you want to cross over and say, you know what, I'm sick of this weird bloated orange monstrosity, and I want to kind of level out my country. Or you can hop over and vote for whoever you think will keep the whole Democratic field in disarray till the convention. Or you can vote for the person who can end, that you think is most easy to beat. Those are the two paths. Usually everybody's...
I don't like this kind of chaos.
No, I don't. And I discussed this last week. Well, I got to take a break, but I had a conversation with one of these people in person that I know in my own life, who I argue with all the time, who's a huge Fox viewer. I just see him all the time, so I have to. Extended family, as it were. And that's what he's planning to do. He's in California, and that's the idea. And there's there's been a lot of talk around the idea that that's why Trump is doing, even though he doesn't have a primary challenge, why he's doing campaign rallies that right before the Democrats vote, because it allows them to get their campaign staff on the ground to do this Operation Chaos stuff. So there you go. Anyways, we've got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's Hal Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. What in the world? Hold on. No.
No,
Such a weirdo.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? No, I wasn't. Yeah. No, I wasn't talking about you.
Weirdo.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. I've got some, not necessarily troll stuff happening on, but some blitzers in my chat. So I'm gonna try and
Blitzes.
Yeah. Art Bell is no longer with us. This is true. Chat room. Yeah. That's me laughing at myself in my own chat. Okay, scrolling back to the. Yeah. What? Oh, yeah.
1 minute, gents.
Cool.
Thanks, sir.
Democrats are missing the biggest opportunity to shut the Republican talking point down. Deregulation is the cause of the coronavirus. No regulation in China is why we're here. Well, it's more complicated than that, but I hear what you're saying. I get it. We have we're going to talk about coronavirus. Believe me.
Did Trump really call it a Democrat hoax?
Yes. Well, he
Doesn't seem healthy.
No, it's not at all. The reality is, though, I think, hold on, that, well, I don't know that he's calling the disease a hoax. He thinks they're inflating it is a hoax.
This is Doris Davenport, host of The Doris Davenport Show, all local, all the time. Now let's get back to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Connie Kelly in our chat room says in Illinois, you used to have to stay with the same party for 2 cycles to keep things from Operation Chaos from happening, things like that. And I'm not 100% sure if that is that still in place. I don't think so. And Catherine says, "Hi, did you hear what Michael Moore said on MSNBC last night?" I did not. Let's see.
He was reacting to
the
hoax thing.
Right. So I see. Right. So a lot of you guys, let's talk about the coronavirus stuff for a moment. A lot of you guys know, especially if you've been following the show regularly, you've been watching. I have been shaking the trees about this for 3 months. And right out of the gate, I need to tell you guys that, and this is in line with what the CDC will say, because I believe in science and intelligence, that simple hygiene will slow or limit the progress of a disease like this by 60%, which is when you have a fatality rate of somewhere in the order of of maybe 3%. That is a measurable amount of human beings. Okay, that is a motivating number of human beings. We're not talking about, like, many people blow off the fact that if they cough and sneeze into their elbow and they wash their hands regularly and they use hand sanitizer and they try not to touch surfaces and their face in public, and they're aware of that, and they wear a mask or self-isolate if they do have the disease, that they wouldn't spread the flu that much, right? It's the same safety factors as the regular flu as far as spread, though this is more contagious. But people don't do that because in their own mind, it's with a 0.005% fatality rate, the amount of people who will die from the flu versus the number of people who catch the flu or have the flu or spread the flu or have it without, like, carry it for a little while but without getting it themselves, is so much smaller that it stays out of your thought process. And yet still, somewhere in the order of 10, 20,000 people die every year from the flu. Now, people will say that number is way higher, it's in the 80,000s. That has a lot to do with comorbidity. Comorbidity is a major factor, and it will be a major factor in coronavirus. The regular average citizen who gets it will have either a very bad flu version of this experience, or perhaps no symptoms, or a very mild experience of it. But they will be contagious during a very wide time. They will be able to carry it to more people. And the most vulnerable among us who have preconditions that make them make things like pneumonia very dangerous for them. Smokers, people with diabetes and other chronic lung issues especially, and elderly people are more susceptible to the damage from this. So you're washing your hands and not touching your face and cleaning common surfaces and self-quarantining if at all possible, or wearing a mask, not necessarily even for your own health, because a lot of people don't believe they're going to get a bad version of this, and a lot of people won't. And that's partly why these things carry as far as they do. You're doing that for in the case of the flu, the 0.005% of people who will die from it. And in the case of this disease, there's somewhere between 2 and 4% of people that will die from it. And in a country of 300 million people, that is an exponentially larger number than who will die from the flu. This is a reality that needs to be on your mind for the next few months. It will. And hygiene is the best response to all of this right out of the gate. Brittany says in the chat room, says her mother-in-law has COPD. People with COPD are very susceptible to these kind of diseases, and it's very dangerous for them. And again, you're not worrying about passing on the disease because you may be relatively healthy. Al Bakery in our chat says he has asthma, and that makes him more susceptible to it. You are washing your hands and coughing into your elbow and sneezing into your elbow, and then staying away from people if you're feeling sick. Not for you, because you might feel ultimately it's not that big a deal. What you're doing is protecting those who are most vulnerable, which is a great empathy lesson for how to behave in life, if you understand what I'm saying. So
and Republicans don't.
Which brings me to the Trump saying it's a hoax thing. It is already, so first of all, I don't think Trump is saying that and I'm not giving him credit for being a decent human being here. Listen to what I'm saying.
You better not be,
pal. No. Because somebody will go, what? I don't think Trump is saying the disease is a hoax. What he's saying is arguably more dangerous. What he's saying is that the disease itself, while it exists, is overhyped by the press and the Democrats to make him look bad. That the warnings are a hoax. And that in and of itself is more dangerous, because people might get it and feel it's no big deal and that they shouldn't worry about it. That people who are actively ill, who are Trump supporters, might feel more comfortable going out and about and being lackadaisical with their sanitary behavior and their hygiene. And this particular disease is spreadable through all forms of lax hygiene. Is that how we put it? I mean, it shows up in fecal material, and not unlike other diseases. It's that bad. It comes in every form. So when somebody in your house is sick and they're in the 5th or 6th day of it being very serious, they're vomiting and diarrhea are a part of it. It spreads that way. The rest of the family is, it's highly contagious during that period. And the rest of the family, if they're helping you or cleaning up after you or using the facilities after you and it isn't clean, will catch it. And if they don't think it's a big deal because they think the morbidity rate of it is, or the mortality rate rather, is low and is hyped up by the Democrats and the press, they just won't take the precautions that are necessary, is my point. So it is incredibly dangerous that the president would refer to this as a hoax. We have not reached the point of its apex yet by any measure. It is not, no matter what the news out of China is, they have not reached their apex either. The lowering of cases and what we hear about what's coming out of there, honest to God, has gone down since China sent in 300 propaganda personnel to push back on the messaging that was coming out of there, and arresting people who had been talking about the state of Wuhan and the entire Hubei province. My biggest concern is Pakistan, but I'll tell you why after we get, and Africa, and we'll talk about that as soon as we get back. We got to take a break. 773-763-9278 is our number. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, live from Seattle this week with Johnny Million. At JMillion is his Twitter feed. If you want to follow him on there, I'm at Hal Sparks. You can use the hashtag HSRPM. Feel free to super chat to support the show, or don't forget that you can become a Patreon. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. What'd you say? What'd you say?
Feel free or don't.
No, don't give them a negative incentive.
There are no options.
Not helping. Not helping. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. Yeah.
A friend of mine has a lot of family in Korea and said that like one crazy lady really exacerbated the spread of the disease there.
Yeah, she's a super spreader, they said. But it was, everybody, there's some video that has come out of this woman spitting on elevator buttons. I don't know if you've seen that.
No.
Yeah.
It's horrible no matter what.
Yeah. She's coughing. She coughs on her hand and spits on the things and then wipes her hands across all the buttons. There's a couple of people doing that. Some of them are from China, people who are angry that they have been quarantined. People who are clearly mentally...
want some company?
Right, exactly. I feel lonely.
Yeah.
But the woman in Korea who's supposed to be a super spreader that they talk about, which just sounds like a piece of farm equipment. She belongs to a doomsday cult. She belongs to a church that is an end times sort of branch Davidian Christian cult.
Yeah.
And
so let me hurry up and get to church.
Well, this is exactly that. She went to church and spread it all over the place. And there's reason to believe that, a church like this they're looking for this opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, this is it, guys. This, it's Kool-Aid Day.
Yeah.
And so there are 200,000 members of this church in South Korea. They are testing all of them now, all the members of the church. and they're sequestering and isolating the ones who test positive. The other issue, though, is how long did this, how many people they interact with before this happened. And one of them was a member of the health ministry there. They found out he was a member of this doomsday cult because he came down with COVID-19. So, yay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine.
Back in 60, and you have one caller.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Daegu is where they're, and I identified 61-year-old woman.
I know her name.
No, you don't. Did she crawl out of your TV set?
No, that was from Highlander.
Oh, I see.
An unidentified head. Remember, like the
Oh, right.
how people were being beheaded.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they have a bit of dialogue in the Queen album, Princess of the Universe.
Sorry, nerd. I wasn't ready for this conversation. I'm going to have to wiki to stay in it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So we were talking during the break, and of course, about the spread of the coronavirus, the novel coronavirus. And novel is the key part. To all those folks who are looking at their bottles of Lysol and seeing that it says kills coronavirus on it, and they're like, they knew it was coming. I should have listened to Q. This is a novel form of the coronavirus. The coronavirus is the same thing that gives you the common cold. It's a form of contagious disease. It's the new one that's particularly virulent and dangerous. And it is corona because of the shape of it and the fact that it looks like the corona of the sun when looked at under a microscope, because it has a multitude of receptors on the outside of it that allow it to attach easily to cells. So imagine a key ring with one key is only good for one lock in the place, and it will only open a door if it finds it. A key ring with two can get into two doors. Think of coronavirus as a janitor's key ring. It's got all of them, so it can attach like a thistle to any cell it comes in contact with, whether it finds its way in. And it certainly it can't attach to every cell. It won't. I'm exaggerating to
I don't know. It's
explain.
kind of hot when you describe it like this.
Thanks. It is, yes.
Thanks.
Yeah. But that's why it's why it spreads so much easier. Yes, Maureen in our chat says the common cold is a coronavirus. This is a novel version of it, but the reason it gets into all your cells is because it is it's a janitor's key ring. It can attach to any cell because it can attach to any receptor on a cell. Men, I think it's the ACE6 receptor on our cells is wider. I'm going to mess up the science on this, but there's a reason why men have more of them, and it makes them more susceptible to this particular disease, because it fits better with this ACE6 receptor. So men are more susceptible. Men, boys, old men, and the like, which may speak to why Li Wenliang, the doctor who warned the Chinese authorities that this was a serious disease was was calling his fellow doctors in the area saying we may have a SARS-like disease, ended up dying from it after being told to stand down and not tell anybody. And so that it may be that he's because he's male. That means, ladies, maybe you're just passing it on. So be careful. And yeah, so there you go. Let's take this caller though, because I want to get this before we get into it, another round of this, and then of course we're going to talk about I'm not going to talk about the odds of South Carolina and all that kind of stuff today. It's rolling right now. I just feel like that process is ridiculous. It drives me crazy when I watch it on the news. It's like political weather, and it means nothing. We'll find out when we find out, and it's fine. And then we will decide what the strategy going forward with is on every part of it. It makes whatever. I'm not going to have a panic attack about how these go. All of the people running are better than Trump. So I'm not going to panic. I like who I like, but that's not going to discourage me. So let's take this caller. Who do we have, Devin?
First, we have Old Bob out in Indiana.
Old Bob. Any relation to Old Greg? I hope not. You ever drink Baileys from a shoe? Old Bob, welcome.
Morning, Hal.
How are you?
Okay, I'm a little behind.
You're a little what?
Hello.
But I default to Wally Walrus for some unknown reason with that, but hopefully he could handle it. Well, now, I know that they're calling it the coronavirus at this time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the rate that it's going and could well end up that we may yet have to change our paperwork to call it by what will probably end up its true name in this country, at least, the Trump hoax pandemic.
Right. Some people are calling it the Trump virus online right now because of the fact that he owns the spread of it. The less he takes it seriously.
Well, I think we should let him do it if it comes to that.
Here's the thing. It won't change my behavior. I'm not going to I don't want anybody to get it, whether I agree with them politically or not. I also don't want anybody who disagrees with me politically to not listen to my advice about hygiene, taking care of yourself and your family. I cannot argue politics with a dead person, and I have no interest in it. I care more about Trump's supporters than he does. This man is not only, as the president of the United States, disregarding the seriousness of the spread of this disease and its potential lethality, he is having large campaign events and telling the people there that they have nothing to worry about. And it is entirely possible that at some point he's going to have one of these ridiculous back-padding sessions in a stadium somewhere with enough people in there that have it who just decide they need to use the bathroom at the right time to give it to a good amount of people. And I don't see his supporters who look at him as the Ubermensch, Nietzsche's idea of the perfect man, when he lives off 12 Diet Cokes a day and a rail of Adderall, and eats nothing but, McDonald's, that they're, if that's their idea of a hero, that they're going to be in the best immunological power stance to fight this off. Talk about super spreaders.
You've got one big problem.
Yeah, I got more than one, but what?
You always come up with a better point than I can.
Well, that's because we're both old, and you know what I mean. We got a lot of life experience under our belts, and it's important. My thing is, and you're absolutely right to bring this up. This he does own this. When he came in, he was immediately claiming all the gains of the stock market were his, all the positives in the economy were his, because
what have you been saying the past week?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're ahead of me on that one. Because he was following the natural rise of what, if you look at the economy's arc in the Obama administration from the crash to now, it was on its way kind of following a normal chain back to productive, normal, like behavior. And then he implemented some policies that have a 6 to 8 month delay on them. And then they started to tick down, and he had to start bugging the Fed to fix the numbers. And then they had to stimulate the economy around give farmers a bunch of money because his tariff decision was messing with everybody. And now this hits, and everybody's out. This is the Trump economy. This is what it looks like when Donald Trump is in charge of your economy. This is his decision-making process. It lost 100 points every single time he said, "We'll see what happens." Every time he's like, "Well, we'll see what happens."
We're going from the Obama economy to the abominable economy.
Right. Trump went from "it's the economy stupid" to "the economy is stupid" in 2 days.
Economy,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
here's what I would say to you.
Have as good a day as you can.
Sorry, say again?
You boys have a good as day as you can under these circumstances.
You too, brother. You take care of yourself. Stay healthy. Chuck down some vitamin C down your gullet, and and elbow bumps, no handshakes. We're just elbow bumping right now. So take care, old Bob. You ever drink Baileys from a shoe? Do you love me? Do you know old Greg, Johnny?
I don't think so.
You don't know old Greg, the Mighty Boosh sketch? Oh, I'm so happy to bring that little slice of joy to your life.
Okay.
Right as the world ends. It's a good thing to laugh.
Right,
You need a laugh. You know what I mean? As the and I think the Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour, we picked a great time to be out, doing a public tour again. This is a great time to launch, when we're all going to have like an audience of people in hazmat suits. I'm just going to have to talk to Johnny Million later on today. I will report back. We'll have a little mini, and you can't watch it during the show. You're not allowed. Stop Googling.
Okay.
Stop it.
All right, fine.
Maybe during the break between hour 1 and hour 2, maybe.
Okay.
But not during this break. We got to take a break right now. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We'll be right back. Wait a minute. I love how, but he's taking the Christmas nap. I have never had any work done. What are you talking about? I have not. Ever. I am simply...
He had very isolated Botox at the very top of his hip bone.
That's right. To make me walk straight. But that's different.
That was a posture.
Yeah, I had a hitch in my get along. And apparently the cure for that is a needle full of botulism. It's an old country trick. It's an old cowboy medicine thing. Here, come over here.
And it's applied with a can opener.
Yeah, exactly. You just smack a dead raccoon, get a little botulism out of there. It grows in their bone marrow. You fry it, you roll it up, and you inject it into the hip bone, and then you get that. It'll even out your hips if you're used to only having one 6-shooter.
I was not hungry until we started talking about that.
That's right. It's true. I love that you think I've had work done. I'm very...
Yeah, you should be flattered.
I am. I think I'm just puffy from being sleepy, I think is what you think.
Yeah, I saw your face, and it's just Sleepy Hal face.
Yeah, this is just Sleepy Hal face. I'm just Botox in that area may stop.
And the Sleepy Hal face has been the same for the duration.
That's right.
It always looks the same.
It looked this way in first period. Right. Thank you. Thanks, Evan. Yeah. So Billy says Botox in that area might stop something else from working. It hasn't so far, but I appreciate your concern. Hal, you are only supposed to walk that way if you've been thrown from horses too many times. Come on, Sparks, you're supposed to know this. Well, that's right. But sometimes you get thrown off the other side, it evens you out.
Oh.
My hair is definitely longer, too. I'm letting it shag out a little bit because I don't care. Hal looks like he's about 30. It's just I've been working out. I've kind of got my supplements in order. I feel good about that. Yeah.
And he sleeps at least 90 minutes a night.
Dude, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning with nightmares last night.
Oh no!
Like I have not had in forever. It was the weirdest thing. 3 in a row.
What was like the big picture nightmare theme?
There were. I'll tell you. We'll talk about that during the break. If you're not watching Old Greg, yeah. We'll be. Oh, hang on.
Wide.
Wide.
Can you play the whole clip again? All I heard was the word "wide," and that's just wrong. Was that the
wide? Here comes Hal.
Was that the Mighty Mouse?
Send it to you, and I did last minute.
That's okay. Was that the Mighty House? Okay, it went out on the air. That's all that matters. Okay. I almost said Mighty Mouse. Is that the Mighty Mouse people? Here I come to save the day. Okay, so I was saying before we were having too much fun in the seriousness, but I guess we've all got gallows humor at this point because I find, and I don't know if you find this way, Johnny, and it might be the calming effect of it. It might be a genetically occurring survival mechanism that I call it. I can't say it on the air, but I call it the fight, flight, or F around reflex.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So some people, when they get panicked or scared or whatever, they get into fight mode. Some people run, and some of us joke. You know, we dissipate the energy and try to undermine the control it might have and the paralysis that comes with it, which is the key part to why, I believe very strongly in the idea you can joke about anything, because not being able to joke about something is what leads to the paralysis around a lot of the issues. You can't move. And so that's just my own personal feeling about it. And my mom's a nurse, and having grown up around hospital folk, you'll get gallows humor. You just will, because they deal with life and death all day, and if you don't, you just won't survive. Cops get it, firemen and EMTs get it, soldiers get it. Look at MASH, for crying out loud. You and I grew up. I don't know how much you watched MASH. That was before I met you in that time zone.
Yeah, boy, I watched it all.
I love that show. I loved Alan Alda. I thought, we learned a lot of, I think our generation learned a lot of our feelings about war and peace from the experience of those guys and the real effect of it, because it was grotesque at times and silly at others, and it was maddening and frustrating, and they would, in mid-surgery, be making, sex jokes effectively, flirting would happen during surgery, and it was you got the idea that it's what they had to do to deal with it, and you can't imagine it any other way, and that is why, by the way, when somebody's joking about something, unless they're making jokes at the expense and they're specifically trying to harm someone, cut them some slack and understand what people are doing. So there you go. That's me in my own self-defense. That said, 3 days ago we get this spike in numbers from Iran, South Korea, and where else? Italy. Italy's numbers go up because of mainly a lot of Italians both traveling in China and doing a lot of business there. You'll famously notice that these are two cultures that are both big on noodles. That goes back a long way. It's true. There's a chicken and egg argument in the Chinese and Italian communities about who made noodles first and who did it better. But that has to do with the ongoing trade in there. That is definitely a factor. The other thing too is that you've got a very large swath of the Italian public that loves to take cruises and go on tours, and they're very centrally located to go to a lot of places that are very exotic. And so running into that, or having people that are also on the boat with them that have that, makes the spread much more possible in places like Italy. I have to say, though, those are not the places that concern me at all. Iran is obviously is in trouble. I don't know if you saw the video of their deputy health minister coughing and sneezing during his display. He has it. And he's sweating. I mean, he's in the bad stage of it. He should be in the bathroom sitting on the toilet with a bucket in his lap. Like it's bad. That said, they're probably the most, the amount of dead they could have is very concerning. And as much as we are not fans around here of the Iranian government, specifically because it leads to things like this, the susceptibility of a contagion or some sort of other issue killing large swaths of the public, is what happens when you close down your society that much. And we'll talk about North Korea in a second. Iran is stuck this way. Now, they have the UN and other world organizations, including the ones aligned with the U.S., are removing certain blockades about getting so that the sanctions don't limit medical supplies coming in, which is good and is a bridge that can be built. And I hope that lets the Iranian people know that any problems we have with their government, we don't have with them as human beings. And there's a time when you settle down and become a human in these situations, and you can gain more ground in a crisis by the bridges that are built because of it.
You would hope.
Yes. So obviously, South Korea has an incredible. They have incredible medical facilities, technology. They are on top of it. Iran is definitely behind the 8 ball with this. We are not seeing. I think Pakistan finally admitted to 2 cases. The problem is Pakistan does not have the infrastructure or the capability to track an epidemic in any form. And the outlying regions and how they have to go to the cities to get just basic materials, the ability for a contact disease like this to travel quickly and the low hygiene there is very concerning. And we're just not getting any numbers out of there. So the problem with those states, those areas, is that they can boil over to where the sickness is just ravages the area. And we might be able to tamp it down, but then you've got refugees, during an arc of the disease storming across borders into nearby countries to just try to escape when they themselves are carriers but not yet symptomatic. Meaning India, and India and Pakistan are already, they're adversarial, but with Modi's sort of, new, Aryan race loving angle on.
Yeah, what's all that about? Come on.
That is based largely on the fact that the Indian people are racially speaking Caucasian, and that has been a running storyline in their separation from Pakistanis and other Middle Easterners and people in the region for a very long time, and it won't change anytime soon. They view them, there is a because of that tie, it's really complicated and ugly. And Modi has been playing it up. The point is, it's rife for a situation where sick people become weapons in a bio war between 2 warring factions on a porous border. That's really scary. The other thing is Africa. Now, because of Ebola and AIDS, certain areas of Africa are actually more ready to deal with this than others, than some
Makes
even
sense.
Western countries, because they have this infrastructure of incredibly dangerous, highly contagious diseases that spread very easily, and they've gotten used to it. Ebola and measles, smallpox, those kind of things. When they rise up, malaria, they've been dealing with these for a long time, so there's not only their own infrastructure has been, they've been dealing with it for a long time, but there's also UN, personnel and other, NGOs in there to protect people from those diseases that are still around. And hopefully, this is the only area of like hope in the spread of this, that though the African nations that are very poor might be more susceptible, like Pakistan, like parts of India, like China, to this kind of thing, that this infrastructure, the fact that they have been effectively tortured by multiple diseases over time, might actually give them a leg up in this fight. That's the only positive I can think of for Africa and those areas. So fingers crossed, that's how it plays out. Those are my two concern points. Now, North Korea. So North Korea, did you see World War Z?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember how they do that scene where the dude's pulling his own teeth out? And the North Koreans are the only people who weren't affected by the zombie outbreak because in a day they pulled everyone's teeth and no one could bite anybody and they didn't spread the disease.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so that was the thing because the North Koreans were able to just insist that everybody pulled their teeth in one day. That was the story in that order. It was totally creepy, but that was the idea that they could do that. That movie was done before in an attempt to negotiate with Kim Jong-un. Trump put pressure on the Chinese to normalize negotiations with them so that they could put pressure on them. And the Chinese opened their border with North Korea for more travel and trade. So they have had over the last year, and especially around Chinese New Year and Lunar New Year as the Koreans experience it, more travel back and forth than they have in previous years before SARS, MERS, any of those diseases were around. And the North Koreans are not prepared. There's no reason to think they are.
Music.
Yeah, we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Wash your hands, clean common surfaces, cough and sneeze into your elbow, self-quarantine if you are ill. We'll be back. It is not my birthday. I don't know. Is that like a 4chan thing?
So what was your dream about?
One was I was swimming in the ocean and I couldn't get to the surface, but I wasn't drowning. But the water was so dark I could only see about 30 feet in front of me, and there were sharks swimming at me, but like super slow, and I knew they were going to eventually get to me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't turn around to swim the other way, which probably meant I was wrapped up in the blanket and couldn't turn over.
Maybe.
That kind of thing. That was one of them. And I had this. What woke me up from it was, I had this thought that I knew that for whatever reason I was in the water and there was no land in sight. I knew, even though I was underwater. And I was like, the ocean goes on forever. That was the thought that woke me up. And I went, oh. Somebody said, Hal just touched his face. Okay, first of all, I'm in my hotel room. It's clean. You just saw me Purell before I even did anything. I was making it. I was kind of being funny and joking about it, but I did do it. Catnip, I do like turtles. I don't dislike you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking at a lot of stuff. Don't take it personally. Yes, I like turtles. There you go. That's right. By the way, spread the show out, kids. Let them know. Share the stream with everybody. Give us a thumbs up. Like it. Everybody's dream dictionarying me now. Water means emotion and dreams. My emotions go on forever.
Here it comes. I'm sorry you did that publicly, Hal.
That's all right. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'm not worried. How you are eating too much late at night because that will cause you to have bad dreams. I banished all the bad dreams from you, so you'll have nothing but good dreams. Well, thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. It's very helpful. And I didn't eat late. Quite frankly, I had 2 hours sleep in the last 48 because I'd had so many.
Horrible.
Yeah, it was bad. in a row. I'd slept twice, but I'd only slept 2 hours in a row.
I have all of like the peripheral symptoms of the flu when I get no sleep.
Right.
I feel like prickly. I feel like I'm about to get a fever.
Right.
It's the worst. I don't just feel like sleepy. It's like my body reacts in a different way.
It was Richard Dreyfuss in my dream. This was not a boating accident. I'm not going to waste my time talking to a man who's lining up to be a hot lunch.
Did I tell you when I watched Jaws again a couple of years ago? And I was like, man, I need to own this. So I bought it on Amazon and put it on my iPad for a plane ride.
Right.
And I hadn't seen it all the way through in a long time, and I forgot about many of the jump scares.
Oh, yeah.
And there was the one when he first scubas when they look at that boat wreck and they see the big hole in the side of the boat, and the skeleton head pops out.
Oh, yeah, man.
And he screams with the snorkel in his mouth.
Yeah, with the
I jumped
respirator.
so hard that I pulled my headphone cord out of my iPad. I'm on an airplane, and I woke up the poor woman next to me. It was so amazing.
Oh.
And I completely like tried to disguise why she might have woken up. I was like, "Oh, hey, how are you?"
Amy,
So
I
Jaws
appreciate.
holds up.
Yes, Amy, I appreciate that. I normally get decent sleep. It was a specific, like, just travel, driving, shows. It was a stack I don't normally experience. Yeah.
And there's so many times that I feel like bad dreams, they come in waves. You know, like your body chemistry or whatever. It's just ready to do it.
Miles says, every time we wash our hands, a dream shark grows another tooth. Wait, what?
That's a good one.
Joe Carter says, drink hot milk at night. Warm milk, I think, is good. Hot milk might burn my tongue.
Hot milk.
Hot milk. I'm sorry.
Chicken seed.
Right. I mean, there's 3 ways you could go with that.
Hang on a minute, guys.
Thank you. I did not karaoke last night. I passed out.
I saw that tweet when I was looking at
I wanted to do it, but
you didn't.
Because I was manically awake, because my adrenaline was keeping me awake.
So you're like, something that will wear you out is just going and belting.
Yeah. Well, because
What's one of your go-tos?
To what? Oh, when I'm
karaoke.
Oh, karaoke. Oh gosh. A lot of like Alice in Chains or Faith No More first. That warms my voice up. So I'll do Wood, or I'll do Midlife Crisis.
Nice. Yeah, like the high baritone.
Yeah.
Metal stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And then I'll do what have I done lately? Like I'll do some like Skid Row if they have it. And then I'll throw in Queensryche. I'll try to do Empire.
Nice.
They usually don't have Rage for Order.
To the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
What you say?
Was being so charming.
Video streaming at HalSparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Puss-faced little pimpstick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Hi, everybody within the sound of my voice. It is not a hoax. Coronavirus is not a hoax. COVID-19 is not a hoax. People are not over-exaggerating. It is not a hoax. And by the way, the Democratic debate last week was not the reason for the stock market tanking, for having the largest drop of a week in history, or largest single drop in a day, and largest drop since 2008 in 2 days. First of all, can we let's not pretend, for the record, that the stock market is the economy. Can we do that? Let's understand for a second that not everyone who invests in the stock market is, hold your breath, American. A good portion of people who have their money in the U.S. stock market are foreigners with a lot of money. The Saudis have nearly $1 trillion in the U.S. stock market. The Chinese have a ton of it in there. Both their state money and people's private money are like they have to use 3 different firewalls to get it in there and hide it through, the Cayman Islands and all. There's all this like bumper pool economy going on in China to get so people can get their money in our stock market, because as unstable as we look at it is compared to their economies and their circumstance, it's rock solid even at its worst. So a lot of that money is in there. But when COVID-19 hit and it started affecting things in China and it started the business slowdowns there, a bunch of people there who have money in the stock market are going to start pulling it out to live off of, and worry that their money is going to lose value. So they started. That's where the early buyout or sell-offs were happening. Also, there is a huge margin of people who invest in the stock market, and listen to me about this, that don't care about any of the stocks they own. Huge margin. Especially day traders, people like that, they don't care. They're not seeing a company they believe in and going, I think this company's a winner. I think they're going to be profitable in the future, and I'd like to give them some of my money to help them build this company, and then I'll take a little bit, of a profit when they're successful, or a dividend when they continue to use my money again and again and again to do this. That is a portion of the stock market. I know, because the stocks I own are based on that. I own stock, but these are stocks that I'm basically intending to sit on until my kid's ready to go to college. Companies I believe in that I think are going to grow and be around for a long time and that I think are worth supporting. That there is half the stock market at least is, people who are just moving stuff around, index funds, mutual funds, and individual day investors, computerized investment firms that have machines and AI doing this for them, buying and selling it a ton. So don't put too much stock into what's happening here. And a bunch of these folks are pulling money out right now because they know there's going to be a dive in production in certain areas, that people are going to have bad quarters coming up and that they're going to limit production for a while. So those companies that they normally have money in aren't going to be making money for a little bit on the scale that they would like to have them make it at, which is, on a side note, one of the things that drives me crazy about the stock market, when a company makes, like a really good company, makes $1 billion some quarter, and people are like, well, they said it was going to make $1.1 billion, so I don't know, I'm taking my money out. Like, what? I mean, that's absurd. That's playing around with money instead of actually caring about companies that grow and build things long term. It's terrible for the economy. It's immoral. It's goofy. But there's a bunch of people pulling their money out, watching the stock slide, and then deciding to put it into stuff that when a disaster like this happens, they know will grow. Like companies that make face masks and companies that are going to be making the virus. I'm not kidding. Like,
it makes sense.
I looked at stock Twitter yesterday, which is like, we all get sequestered in our own little bubbles in social media, and you forget that there's entire chains of people who all they follow and all they care about are, Harry Potter, much less the stock world. And there's tons of them, and all they're jumping on is companies that make hazmat gear, because they know everybody's understocked. The minute people started talking about a shortage, they know all countries everywhere are going to make a decision to stockpile for next time. They're gonna need to make up what they are losing. They're going to need to buy enough to be even with it, and they're going to need to buy an excess for next time, a surplus to have on stock later. There are plenty of face masks and hazmat suits and the like, and sterile gear for the United States and most Western countries for a good long time. We do have stores of those things. We do prepare for epidemics and like this. But if it goes on for an extended period of time, we might not. So we are preparing to be prepared beyond prepared. We are also, if we manage to get it under control, like a lot of Western countries, going to be sending some of our surplus stuff to countries, impoverished countries that don't have any of it, to help them slow the spread of it.
Right.
Because we spend, the United States and a lot of European countries especially, spend a lot of money sending this kind of gear to third world countries. Not just for their own staff and like UN members to have stuff to wear and all that, and doctors
That's
without
how we
borders.
pick winners and losers, right? We just undersupply people we don't want to succeed.
Is that how it works? Is it? Yeah. I don't know. When
Uh-huh.
did you get a job in the Trump administration? It sounds like you literally got like a matrix link to Stephen Miller's head.
Man, that is how he thinks, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, look. There are gaggles at CPAC right now, I have no doubt, of people cornering themselves going, it really only wipes out people we can, do without. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah, you know it.
You know how I know it? Because there are people
in brown people.
Because there's people in the Chinese government saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, because they're so racist.
No, because they got so many people. They're saying it about their own people. Aren't
they like internally racist even inside of China?
Yes. Well, of course. There's that. I mean, that's a whole. There's
there's a weird class system.
Yes, there's the Han Chinese and the Southern Chinese, and the Uyghurs themselves. There is no way that if this disease gets within the facility holding the Uyghur Muslims, the quote unquote re-education camp, that they're going to get the medical supplies and support they need. There's no way. I mean, it's passive eugenics at that point. That's incredibly scary. That said, you've got this dude in Fox News is bringing on this dude who's on the Diamond Princess, which is, folks.
The cruise ship?
Yeah, he was one of the, he was quarantined on the Diamond Princess, and he said, he went on Fox News and told everybody that, I'm not one to advise the experts on this, but I personally believe that it's not the scary thing that everyone thinks it is. It's not symptomatic. My wife tested positive without symptoms and now is clear of it. And so I would say, maybe we can step back and breathe a little bit and not freak out about all this. Okay, dude, this is why it's so bad, because asymptomatic people can spread it to people who are more susceptible to comorbid comorbidity and leading to their death. That's why it's bad, because people aren't walking around sniffling and coughing and for a good long while. Are you insane? And the idea that you would go on, that Fox News would have this guy on and not also have somebody on and to talk about it afterwards, and a doctor going, no. See, this is why it's worse, because you can spread it without showing it, and it's somewhere in the order of 20 to 200 times more deadly than the flu, and the flu kills too many people. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. I hate being right all the time, folks. I'm not a fan about this stuff. I've been talking about this for weeks, and I told you it was going to get here. All right, we'll be back. Let's see. There's nothing about Trump that I trust because he's only out to benefit himself. Anybody that backs him needs to open their eyes and realize he's a liar, bigot, and an extortionist. Well, the extortionist, you might be onto something there, Amy, because that very well may be why they support him, because he's got something on them. I'm still just happy people think I've had a facelift. That was so sweet. I should get less sleep more often.
Right. Every time you have sleepy face, people think you're healing.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I swear to nothing. I'm not planning on any. And not because I'm against people who do. I mean, if that makes you feel better about yourself to a certain extent. I mean, if you can get the Michelle Pfeiffer treatment, you'll be okay. Everybody else, not so much.
Yeah, right. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer. If
Amazing.
she has had work done,
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Apparently, and I have some friends who've had some work done, who've had a Christmas nap, as Steph calls it.
Back in 1 minute, guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
And are there callers or not? Are there? No.
Yeah, there's 2 callers and Ike.
Okay. Oh, great. I love it. So that's 3 callers, or it's 2 and Ike, because Ike's not a caller, he's a friend, right?
It's 2 total. I'm sorry. So it's 1 caller
Okay.
and Ike. We had 2.
And
now
one
it's
Ike.
3 callers total calling in.
Gotcha. Yeah. Jim Flakowski in our chat room is saying the flu has a mortality rate of 0.01%. COVID-19 is 2 to 3%. Flu fatality rate is 0.005. It's not even a full 0.1%. It's 0.005, and that's a lot of dead people for something that isn't particularly deadly. So yeah, this is important.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
So we got some callers. Who do we have first? Devin, who was with us right out of the gate.
First is our friend Ike.
Oh, right on. Hey, Ike. You with us?
Buddy.
There you are.
The Antichrist was here for his rally about 5 miles from where I live.
Lord.
Oh, boy.
The smell was horrific.
Sulfur just blowing across the... Yeah. Sulfur and Cheeto dust. I think it smells like burnt Cheetos. Right.
Yeah, well, then last night... No, actually, it was a warm-up for what they had coming up tonight. They're having a rodeo event over there, so I guess they needed the BS smell to be good and strong in there to keep those bulls kind of calm.
Right, yeah, the manure, right. Are you staying healthy, though? First out of the gate, are you staying healthy, my friend?
Yeah. I'm dealing with a couple other things, but I'm working through them.
Okay.
I got hit with melanoma, which I'm going to get cut out next week.
Okay. Why?
And a little thing on top of my head they took out, but that should be it for the.
All right. Well, our fingers are crossed for you during the healing process, my friend. That this doesn't sneak. Don't catch anything else. Is what I'm saying.
Fancy and do like a secret lobotomy.
Right. Can you imagine? Yeah. Don't let them take anything Ike out. That's all I ask.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need you calling in going singing bread tunes.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But listen, man, on this voting thing, which I did first thing this morning.
Great.
It finally dawned on me what the point is, and here's my point.
Okay.
I struggled. I looked, and I went over each one of these candidates, and I went over it and over it and over it to the point that it almost looked like I was going to toss a coin when I got into the voting booth.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the debates and the research and what have you, I finally came down to one choice.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I mentioned it to somebody, they said, well, that person's not going to win. And I said, you don't seem to understand what voting is about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm voting for the person that I believe is best well qualified to unify the party and to get done what both sides want done.
Mm-hmm.
They're not too radical. They're not to the point that, they're going to have to deal with people calling them a communist.
Mm-hmm.
But they believe in capitalism with reform.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the candidate I've been looking for. And plus, they paid their dues.
Mm-hmm.
And they're smart enough. They've proven that they'll fight for the consumer.
It sounds like he's a Mike Bloomberg fan.
That's right. We knew it. You called it.
I knew it.
He's kidding.
Are you tripping?
That was a joke.
No.
Of course
yes,
not.
He's kidding. He's kidding.
Come
Like,
on
of course,
now.
it's the most absurd. Like, yeah.
I was trying to come up with the opposite one.
I automatically I discounted both the two candidates that are not Democrats. I didn't even, I discounted them.
Right.
One of them's going to get beat to death because they're going to call him a communist. One of them is a nice lady from the Midwest that, is just too damn nice. The other one is too young. The other one is Steyer, who I love him to death. But when he came up with reparations, that put him out of my mind.
Right.
Because there's no way you'll ever work a formula that's going to work. And look, if you want to do reparations, let's just provide good opportunity and good jobs for everybody, and that can take care of itself. So at the end of the day, I was left with Warren. Warren set up an entity within the government that did get billions of dollars back to the people that got ripped off. She has fought for the middle class, and she has fought and she has passed bills, and she has been a fighter the whole way. And she's just enough to where the Bernie people, if they come to their senses and look, they could do this and they could get behind her. And she's not going to get beat up at worst with anything other than, okay, Pocahontas.
Right.
But I guarantee you, those two debates, the way she handed it to Bloomberg, yeah, she can rip Trump to shreds. But then again, I believe any one of our candidates can beat Trump.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I voted for who I wanted.
Yep.
But whoever it winds up being, that's who I'm going to vote for. And if it's Bernie, so be it. If it's Buttigieg, so be it. I don't care.
Right.
Right.
Number one deal, we're going to get Trump out of there, all right?
That's right. So I'm curious, is it a standard, South Carolina is a standard primary, right? You don't get a second or third choice tiered system.
No, it's a standard primary and it's an open primary, so the Republicans can come in and vote in it too if they want.
Right. That's that part concerns me. I think that's great. I think that's how you deliberate on, especially on a field as broad and as full of possibilities as this. And you and I have talked back and forth over the years about your priorities, and I understand them, and I'm glad that is something available to you to go and go, I've got, basically 4 people on the field that I could go with, and I'll make a decision about which one I think is best for me. That's how it should work in a primary. I think that's great. So, very cool. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
You vote for yourself. You're not voting for. This isn't a matter of like the Super Bowl, and you're going to feel like you're an idiot because you're not sitting with the group in the bar that happens to win the game. That's not what this is about. This is about you making your best choice, being true to yourself, and voting the way that you feel is correct. And then at the end of the day, we're all going to get together. And, we're going to pull behind whoever the heck gets the nomination, and that's the end of it.
Right.
And no matter how that nomination comes out, and no matter how they get there, Bernie can cry, anybody can cry about getting ripped, and yada, yada. Well, politics is a rough game, and if that's the way it turns out, and your guy, you think they get short-shifted or whatever, don't be a spoiled little brat. Think about something beside yourself and get your ass to the poll and vote for whoever the nominee winds up being, no matter what.
Right. Agreed. I appreciate the call. Like, I'm going to try and get this other guy in before we get to the whoever the other call in. But take care of yourself. We'll be thinking about you next week. Call us as soon as you can after you heal up to let us know you're all right. I know it's probably outpatient surgery and nobody cares, but I just want to make sure he's all right. And I'm going to be worried about Ike for the next 15 days. All right. Love you, man. Anyway, so let's grab another caller real quick before this. Yeah, we got about 4 minutes before the break, so we can do that.
Next, we have Earl out in Hyde Park.
Right on. Hey, Earl.
Hey, I haven't called in a while, but I still listen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, man, I appreciate you, what you're doing, and I like listening to you, and I want you to keep on trying to explain some of these things to lefties and righties, because some of the stuff just gets lost in the propaganda, and it gets confusing and a lot of dust. I would like for you also in your stand-up to tell the audience, remind the audience, because you're going to have some Republicans in the audience, that Mueller did prove that Trump did do impeachable things. It's just that the Democrats didn't know how to prosecute it and to get the necessary votes to get him out of office. And so the
Well, I certainly think the Senate was just a firewall against it. There was, the Democrats, I think, did a very good job explaining it, but the Republicans sat there with their fingers in their ears and pushed back on it, and their only defense was either everybody's corrupt or I just don't want to believe this. And that was it. And largely, we're finding out that people like Devin Nunes and others who were, who were part of the process were actually also part of the criminal activity, which you don't really see in most normal court cases, post 1930, But yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to touch on is I was going to reflect on one of our billionaires whose name I'm forgetting just about. Not Sarah, but the other one who was mayor of New York.
Bloomberg. Him. You forgot his name? How's that possible? He's on my TV. I think he's on my channel right now running an ad on my face. I just feel like he's everywhere.
Yeah, I'm getting a little tired of him, but I appreciate what he's trying to do. But I personally, he's not my first choice. And one of the reasons why he's not my first choice is he's not a good debater. And I don't care how much you claim that you don't like the way that we elect our presidents, you have to be a stand-up guy and take on Trump on a debate floor. And that's how you persuade the country to either vote for you or not to vote for you.
Right.
And I don't think that he's demonstrated so far he has the chops to stand up against Trump. Now, he may be, I think he would govern better than Trump, but because of his stand on a few things, I'm a black person, and so I have problems with his stands on some of the things that he took,
like stop and frisk and, right.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think he's, again, I think we got to recognize and allow for people to learn from their mistakes. And if somebody's saying that's not something I would repeat, and I recognize that it did not accomplish what I thought it would accomplish and did more damage and alienated people, which was not the intent, blah, blah, blah. If they actually want to go through that and say that, and they will govern as such, I'm okay with that. I don't need to be friends with them, but I can take that seriously. You know what I mean? But we have other choices that weren't anywhere near that stuff, right?
Yeah, so I mean, his timing was horrible as far as I'm concerned. You announced that you were against stop and frisk just after what you announced that you were running for president. So that kind of rings hollow for me.
Sure.
But I do think we have a good field. I don't know whether Biden can pull it out right now because he's so far behind and he has no money to compete really in.
Well, they're taking in they took in their biggest haul right after the debate, double what he normally takes in, and they're doing $500,000 a day in regular donations. So they're doing all right. They're not going to go broke anytime soon. Their campaign's not going to run out of money.
But it's going to create a market in time to influence enough people to vote for him, to bring him up in the polls. Like California might be lost. I mean, he should have been able to compete more favorably in California if he had enough money to spend out there.
Right.
Bloomberg has been saturating the area, and Bernie has been able to saturate California. But up until now, he hasn't been able to really do any impact. So what he's got to do is try to do what Trump did, get a lot of free advertisement, and hope that will help cover the gap and make up some ground and. And the rest of the stuff will take care of itself as it goes along the way.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too.
I like the fact that what you're doing is educate us and keep us informed, because a lot of times we kind of forget what's going on, and because we got to pay our bills, or
we shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to be on this stuff all the time. None of us should. That'll be one of the good things about when Trump gets out of office, is we can go back to a sense of normalcy where we're 80-20 with politics like we should. We should be 80% in our own lives and 20% on citizenry just to keep our country stable, vote, focused, do all the things that you do as a normal citizen. It shouldn't take up an outsized part of your life to be a citizen.
I remember John Mulaney saying something like, I never really paid attention before. There was someone in there, I just kind of assumed he was good at his job.
Right. Yeah. So,
unfortunately, the mechanism for getting out propaganda in the Republican Party is not going to go away.
No.
It's always going to be there. So there's going to be disinformation out there. Misinformation, just outright lies. So, but keep up your fight, man. You and Dick are doing a great job.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
There are voices out there, people out here. Thank you. They appreciate you.
Absolutely. We're way over into the break. I got to take a break right now. You guys, you're awesome. Thank you for calling in. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio Program, Mega Worldwide, WCPT.
At Capital One, you can open a new savings account in about 5 minutes and earn 5
People are
times
still
the
talking about my
national
facelift
average.
in
Capital One means
the
5
chat.
times the savings to help pay for
That's
your perfect
crazy.
honeymoon. Or 5 times the savings
I
toward
should
your
look
family.
sleepy
Sounds like
more
they're
often.
talking about ziplining.
Yeah. Devin, I can hear the
Make your savings
ads.
goals come
Sorry.
true. This is Banking Reimagined.
Devin, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, vaccinations. Yes, this is true. Vaccinations for the coronavirus, this novel coronavirus, will not be available for at least a year. Sorry, Lisa, did I miss you? I don't. Let's see. Not even.
We got full phone lines, Hal.
There
Wow.
we go. 12:35,
Seems like Ike
right
struck
on
a nerve
time.
with some people.
Coronavirus death confirmed in Washington State today. Great. Perfect time to be in Seattle.
What if it's you and this is like the Sixth Sense?
I'm going to get in a car. I'm going to rent a car right now. I'm going to drive to Illinois and cough on you. First, yeah, it might be important to tell them where. Said on Saturday, coronavirus patients. This is the first. King County. That's Seattle. Great. Glad I'm here. Perfect. Now I gotta.
1 minute, guys.
Yeah, great. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to go out and get a coffee this morning. I'm glad I didn't. The meet and grope's going to be awkward tonight.
Meet and grope.
That's what we call it.
You should wear like the food handling gloves.
Mm-hmm.
and change them in between every person.
I'm Dick Kay from Back on the Beat, and here is the mega worldwide radio program with Hal Sparks.
That's right. So during the break, we got news. The first coronavirus death in the U.S. has happened in Washington State, where I currently am broadcasting from. I have now become one of those reporters where they send us to a hurricane, and they're standing in the in the middle of like a road getting blown all over the place as glass flies by. Yeah. So health officials in Washington State said on Saturday a coronavirus patient has died. The death is the first from coronavirus illness, COVID-19, in the United States. As of early Saturday, the U.S. has 66 cases of coronavirus. I thought Trump said we had 15 and they were getting close to zero, which includes 9 people.
One day you'll wake up, it'll be gone.
Right.
Like magic.
Which includes 9 people who have recovered and 4, quote, presumptive cases, which are those that tested positive in local tests, which with confirmation from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention pending. Information about who the person is or how they contacted the virus was not immediately released. However, officials scheduled a press conference in King County at 4 p.m. King County is Seattle. That is where I am. Yeah.
And you are alive.
Yes. As far as you know. Washington State, along with Oregon, California, all reported new cases on Friday. Among the new confirmed or presumptive cases were 3 contacted from an unknown source, bringing the total number of what could be community spread cases in the United States to 4. The patients from these 4 cases have no known travel history or exposure to someone who have traveled or been infected, probably touched a surface. Not all 4 have been confirmed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and Testing, but they tested positive locally. There are false positives in this test, as there are with all viruses. This is not by any means a guarantee that they have it. It's also not a guarantee that we do not know for a fact right now that people can't get reinfected, which is a really scary concept as well. So
yeah, there's no coronavirus double jeopardy thing.
No, there is not.
Seems like there should be.
Yeah.
Remember, the phone lines are full.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Let's take a call. Who do we have there, Devin? Who's first?
First, we got Karen out in the Bay Area.
Cool. Hey, Karen.
Karen.
Hi, Hal. I hope you got one of those Donald Davenport inventions packed in your suitcase so you can come out of this alive.
I have a mask, a professional level mask that my girlfriend got me that we passed on. So there you go. With me. So yes, but it won't help unless I've got it and keeping me from spreading it. So, but I hear you and thank you. But go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, I saw an article in the Chicago Tribune that for the Illinois primary on St. Patty's Day, election officials are going to test out some new voting equipment, just like they're going to do at LA County. 100% paperless, totally unverifiable electronic voting machines, as Brad Friedman constantly complains on his show. And the only paper that you're going to get is after voting on a touch screen, which will have to be Purelled after every use, is a simple paper that is with a QR code that you're supposed to feed back into the main machine, and that's the only record of you voting. But you don't know who you voted for. You could have, like in LA, you could have voted for Cenk Uygur, but instead voted for the Libertarian candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
Those are by choices. What a nightmare. Well, yeah, I'm looking at that right now. It says the machine prints a QR code and contains a digital summary which has the digital summary of the ballot and a written list of the candidates he chose, including the races he left blank. After he reviewed the paperclip, he fed it into the scanner to store the results. So there is a paper receipt that comes out, the information about you as a voter and all that is stored in the QR code to keep it still private, I guess. And then it does have a list of the people. So presumably, if you got that and it said those people, like, and it was wrong, if the list of the people you voted for and the list of people that you left blank is wrong, you could go talk to someone and get that fixed. I would recommend that people make sure that they look over that. The other thing is take a picture of it. If you're going to have a situation like that, photograph the QR code and the like. You may be able to read it later, but you will definitely have a storage that if somehow the QR code is telling a lie and the list of voters is telling it, of people you voted for is telling the truth, and there's some sort of discrepancy later on, you would have some sort of recourse to make a case about that. So if you do have a receipt and it prints a receipt wherever you get your voting, wherever you're doing your voting, take a picture of it with your phone if you don't get to keep it, which I doubt you do.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for the heads up on that.
People do you think in Murfreesboro or Galesburg or wherever would then know this information?
I don't know. I can only say that that's who I would, I can only tell as many people as I can tell, certainly. But I think that's true of any voting system that you're working on, whether it be a general or a midterm or a primary or a special election, that you would go through those things, and if you get a receipt or take a picture of it with your phone to have it. And if anybody's, there needs to be a recount, people aren't trusting the machines, there's any shenanigans that come up later, you can go to and they may go, well, you may have doctored the picture or whatever, and they may tell you to go pound sand, but at least you have that option, So yes.
Well, I'm going to do what Brad Friedman recommends. You take an absentee ballot and drop it off at the voting center on Tuesday or whatever the primary is.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Al.
Yeah, appreciate it. Absolutely. Let's grab another caller. We'll go a little bit into this break because we did last one. We should be okay. Who do we have, Devin?
Next, we have Dave out in Hoffman Estates.
Cool. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Al.
Yeah.
Hey,
go ahead.
Being out in Seattle, did you happen to see the story where that President Donald Trump may not divert $89 million intended for a military construction project in Washington State for his border wall?
Yeah, well, he's been...
U.S. Judge, District Judge Barbara Rothstein ruled that, and the money was to go to Pierre for the Naval Base Kitsap.
Yeah.
Which is west of you there, and it houses the Pacific Fleet of the nuclear submarines, and that the Attorney General there said losing that construction money would have cost the state $2.6 million in tax revenue over the next 2 years.
Right.
That was enough to give Washington standing, to challenge that administration's plan in court.
Mm-hmm.
So Washington at least saved a little bit of $89 million of the money for Mexico that Mexico was supposed to pay, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Mexico is going to pay for Seattle's shipyards now instead, I guess, technically. If you use Trump math, right.
Yeah, because he was the $89 million diverted from that, $3.6 billion,
Mm-hmm.
in the military account to build 175 miles of wall, fencing from California, Arizona, and Texas, and New Mexico. Real quick, so you get to the other. When you're talking about Bernie and Biden, neither one are my first choice, by the way. But I got a feeling if Bernie is a nominee, and he would pick he said it would be a woman, and I got a feeling he would pick Stacey Abrams
Mm-hmm.
for his choice to be his vice president, and then Biden, I got a feeling he might go with Kamala Harris.
Well, he's met with Biden's met with both of them apparently. So I'm obviously one of those people who thought he's been kind of pushing towards towards Biden's been pushing towards Kamala Harris the entire time as well. But there certainly is that outlier.
Yeah.
I think both of them would do well to consider that. I don't think there's any, Biden could have either one of them as his VP. Bernie, I think, could only do Stacey Abrams for considering his constituency.
They said it'd have to be a woman, and they want to get the black vote. But I just think in Biden's case, it'd be kind of irony because he was the opponent to Obama, and Obama picked him later on after he lost.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes sense, and that that I can work with people who don't necessarily agree with me kind of idea was the entire point. I mean that was part of Obama's sales pitch as well.
If he gets in, he can put Harris as a Supreme Court, or else really put a stick in the righty's eye and put Hillary as a Supreme Court, so she can finally get over 2000.
Oh my God, yeah, I appreciate it. Totally. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. I mean, that discussion is impossible to know, but it's it's fun to play. It's a little bit like like talking about a superhero movie that's coming out. Like, I hope so, but what happens if Nightcrawler shows up? That kind of like. That's about as real as.
All right, never mind.
Did I blow it? Spoiler alert.
It's like a thing, like Nightcrawler. Anyway.
Yeah.
They're thinking about a movie.
Biden Nightcrawler 2020. We'll be back.
I swear.
What is this?
I almost said F yeah on the air.
Uh-oh.
Thank you for catching yourself.
Yes, we appreciate that. I'm reading up on something.
Okay.
Yeah. Just checking some things. There you go. All right, I'm good. There's stuff breaking. Good Lord. Raw story. What are you doing? The day this quarantine patient says, "Oh God, coronavirus is no biggie," get our first death. Same time, same day, like these folks. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. Trump is about to go live. Oh my God, he's as those who flank him take their place and wait. Oh yeah. Oh, is he giving a statement about it? Lord.
Every time I hear that, I think about the Eagles song, "Take It Easy." It's a girl, my lord, a flatbed floor, and slowing down.
Take a look at me. Right.
Yeah.
Back in 60, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a call, but yeah. Like he's making another statement or whatever, but this is he just did this. He just did this 2 days ago.
It went so well, he wants to do it again.
The stock market.
You think that's what he's trying to do? Repair the stock market with another statement?
Very successful negotiations. We think they'll be successful in the end. The other side's tired of war. Everybody's tired of war. That's been a particularly long and gruesome one. And I want to congratulate President Ghani and the people of Afghanistan. I want to remember all of the people, all of the great men and
Welcome
women
back
that
to the
have
Hal
lost their
Sparks radio
lives.
program, Mega Worldwide. Now time for the happy ending. Yay!
I don't know how happy this ending is. We'll get to calls in a second, but Trump is actually having a press conference right now, supposedly about coronavirus, but he's talking about Afghanistan right now. I think he's,
I want to thank our wounded warriors, people that are still bearing pain and all of the problems that they've had to go through. And they're incredible people, incredible spirit. I'd go to Walter Reed and see them so often, and the spirit they had, they wanted to go back. Despite their wounds, they always said, I want to go back. Wounded warriors, they're incredible people. I guess most of all, I want to thank all of the people in the United States for having spent so much in terms of blood, in terms of treasure.
does he think he's getting an award for Afghanistan?
I don't
It sounds
know
like
anymore.
why does it always sound like not a recognition of what people have been through, but that he's getting some sort of like trophy?
Puts us in a position to get it done, bring us down to in the vicinity of 8,000 troops. The United Nations
Looking and
was
sounding really tired right now. I thought I looked
informed of
tired.
everything. And NATO has been great. Secretary Stoltenberg has been fantastic. And I want to thank the United Nations for the help they gave. And I also want to thank and congratulate Secretary Stoltenberg of NATO. 29 countries involved. And all approving, all very happy with what's going on. I want to also thank and congratulate
Oh my
Secretary
God.
Pompeo and Secretary
Pompeo?
of Defense Mark Esper. And
what?
I'll be meeting personally with Taliban leaders in the not too distant future. And we'll be very much hoping that they will be doing what they say they're going to be doing. They will
Oh
be
my
killing
God.
terrorists.
What is this?
They will be killing some very bad people. They will keep that fight going. We've had tremendous success in Afghanistan in the killing of terrorists, but it's time, after all these years, to go and to bring our people back home. We want to bring our people back home. And again, it's been a long journey in Afghanistan.
The Adderall has clearly not kicked in yet.
No, not yet.
We'll get manic in about 5, 4, 3.
And that's not what our soldiers are all about. They're fighters. They're the greatest fighters in the world.
There we go.
As you know, we've destroyed in Syria and Iraq 100% of the ISIS caliphate. 100%. We have thousands of prisoners. We've killed ISIS fighters by the thousands. And likewise in Afghanistan. But now it's time for somebody else to do that work, and that'll be the Taliban, and it could be surrounding countries.
All right. Okay. So let's we got a couple of minutes. Let me grab a caller because I mean, this is just
a human, please.
Yeah. Who do we have, Devin?
First, we have Jonathan out in Boston.
Cool. Hey, Jonathan.
How you doing, Al?
Hey, good. Go ahead.
Just one question. You've ever noticed that all the callers that are questioning Bernie's ability to win are all our age? I don't know how old you are, but 50 or above.
Yeah,
Every time they're always our age. Never young people that are questioning that. But in addition, my question is, if other candidates are not beating Bernie already, how are they going to beat Trump? I called before. Every day I see my friends who are my age.
Well, you could argue. I think what most of them are looking at is that generic Democrat beats Trump most of the time and has over the last year, which has to do with why so many people jumped in the first place, because they saw an opening to be president because his his favorability ratings are so low, his turnout amongst evangelicals and other people, he's losing the grip on that. And there's a window for whoever is the Dem, no matter how unpopular they are, that they will have an opportunity to be president. Again, that's why there was such a pile of people. The difference is, I think, for, as far as age goes, is that the age, the youth voter is different every time. Okay, the people age, they get older. So the people who were the youth vote 2 cycles ago aren't the same youth vote as last time or this time. And it's, once you get up into that, what really is telling is, do you gain supporters over time with age? Do people who have been with you stick with you? And viewing the turnout aspect for Bernie, that's not happening right now, which is a very curious thing. Insofar as the rest of the field, what you're having is, it's a 65-35 situation where 65% of the electorate is, I'll take any Dem, I just want them out. So they're doing what Ike did and voting their heart, and it's splitting that vote 65-35. So 65% are the take it or leave it Democrats, and the other 35 are either for Bernie or thinking he can win. That's why that number's split. It isn't a true believer versus the youth vote or older people necessarily. Does that make sense?
Well, but he is winning though, correct? Thus far.
Well, Buttigieg won the more delegates in Iowa.
Yeah.
There's a very strong chance he won't do well here. He doesn't have the black vote the way he would need to win in a general. Biden seems to be gathering steam with that. We'll see on Super Tuesday. It's a motivating factor. And if there's any talk of this,
the only way a moderate is going to win is with Obama-type charisma, and none of them have it, in my opinion.
I disagree. I think a lot of people, there's a huge vote chunk that is saying enough already with the charismatics. I just want somebody who can do their job. That's why Klobuchar is still in the race at all. I'm serious. Like, there's a big chunk of Democratic voters who are like, I don't want to hear from people. I want them to go do their job, and I want to go back to my life. It is a major factor in this. That's why Steyer is in and Schultz is out. But anyways, we're at the tail end. This is all, backseat driving morning quarterbacking to some degree. We'll see how it plays out or whatever. Like I said, the generic Democrat beats Trump in most votes anyways, so none of them can pat themselves on the back for being ahead of a guy who they should be easily trounce. He's a maniac. I appreciate the call. If you're in South Carolina, go vote. Johnny, take care of yourself. I'm gonna go fill my bathtub with Purell and lay in it till showtime. And
get some rest.
I will. I'll talk to you guys later. A little bit of post show after this at the YouTube channel. Stick around and we'll talk to the chat as well. Stay tuned on the radio for Dick K. Thanks, Devin. Thank you, Johnny.
Next week.
See ya.
Stay healthy, brother. I'll see you soon.
You do the same. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, when I come in for the Madison show, which is the 21st of March.
Right.
I'm gonna do the show in Chicago. We're gonna see if we can.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think we should do a public gathering of it if we can. If it's not, if people are planning on driving up that night,
Yeah.
we could just do the show and then it'll be a big caravan. Or I'll do it from the station and we'll go up and we'll have a little gathering up there. We'll see what works better for people.
Yeah, I'm ready to do either.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. So, thanks, Jim, in the chat room for worrying about me. He said bathing in Purell will cause your dinky to wrinkle. I mean,
oh my gosh. Yeah, careful around your Botox mark.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. It'll sting. Anyways, all right. Take care.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I'm kidding. I'm not going to bathe in Purell. It's not happening. I was joking. Just a joke. It's okay. Yes. Thank you, Julie. I wish I was there in Wisconsin. I would come to see you. I know. I wish you were there too. How the shows make my Saturdays better, especially today and last Saturday with 2 funerals, 2 Saturdays in a row. I'm sorry to hear that, Go Bucks. But I'm glad to help. He said, Dickie. How could Trump say he wants peace when all he lives for is strife? That's a good argument. I mean, he certainly enjoys chaos. How could you get corona on your genitalia? Seattle on day 1, death, show material for the year, OFA, I survived. I mean, honestly, we got here just in time. If I end up being the Jessica Fletcher of coronavirus, yes, and Trump is definitely drugged. Should we check back in with that nonsense?
There are many. For any circumstance, we hope it's not going to be a major circumstance. It'll be around the clock. And for that reason, I really would wish that we could report exactly what's happened, how well we're doing under quite adverse circumstances. But we're doing really well, very, very professionally handled. Our country is prepared for any circumstance. We hope it's not going to be a major circumstance. It'll be a smaller circumstance, but whatever the circumstances.
Say circumstance again.
And I'd like to just ask and caution that the media, we would respectfully ask the media and politicians and everybody else involved not do anything to incite a panic, because there's no reason to panic at all. This is something that is being handled professionally.
Yeah, don't incite a panic, press. I'll do that. That's my job.
Our various states, in some cases, some more than others, because they've really been working very hard in areas where we've seen indication of the virus. But I want to thank the governors and all of the representatives from all of our states, the rooms they've made available, the speed with which they've worked has really been incredible. So, again, thank you to everybody. I'm going to ask Mike Pence now to discuss a little bit about travel. And we have some restrictions on some
travel. That is
travel.
President Trump announcing the first coronavirus-related death, saying it is a high-risk person in her 50s, also saying that the administration is bracing for the likelihood of more cases, but that healthy people should be fine. The president also saying he will be meeting with pharmaceutical companies to address this crisis further on Monday. We will have much more on...
Oh, my God. Because healthy people should be fine. Yeah. In her 50s is high risk. I know. Hi, I'm in my 50s. And what do they mean by high risk? Did she have lung disease beforehand? Was she immunocompromised? We're not going to find out till 4 o'clock today here in Seattle. Yeah. He won't say it. We're going to have Mike Pence come up, show you. He's going to say...
We will be doing the following.
Oh, here we go.
First, the president authorized action today to add additional travel restrictions on Iran. We will be using Section 212F, banning travel from Iran. Iran is also already under a travel ban, but we are expanding
super travel ban
restrictions to include any foreign national who has
we call it a mega travel. We call it a mega travel ban.
In addition to moving,
I'm so tired.
We are going to increase to the highest level of advisory, which is level 4, advising Americans do not travel to specific regions in Italy and South Korea. Let me say again. The president today...
Yeah, don't fly to Daegu and don't fly to Milan. You can't even get in there anyways.
Travel advisory for Americans to level 4. We are urging Americans to not travel to the areas in Italy and the areas in South Korea.
So level 4 ask.
By the coronavirus. The president's also directed the State Department to work with our allies in Italy and in South Korea to coordinate a screening, a medical screening, in their countries of any individuals that are coming in to the United States of America. And we look forward to working with them.
Foreigners are dirty. We don't want any dirty foreigners.
Now, with regard to the task force, I'm just a few days into this job, but I can tell you, having spent time with these extraordinary professionals that the president just alluded to, having spoken directly to more than a dozen governors, including Governor Jay Inslee this morning in Washington State, I think every American would be proud to know what I've heard about the work of HHS, the work of CDC, the work of all of our agencies. At the president's direction, this team...
These goofballs spend all their time telling you can't trust government organizations, you can't trust... that the worst thing that can happen is the government shows up and says, I'm here to help, and now...
As we work with members of Congress, I've had the opportunity to speak with Republican and Democrat leadership in the Congress. We'll be working very closely on a supplemental funding bill to make sure that not only do all these agencies have the resources that they require, but we'll also make sure that state and local health officials have the resources
Heck of a job,
to
Pensy.
take such actions that are necessary to protect the health of the American people. The president mentioned masks. This morning we talked a great deal about additional medical supplies. Let me be very clear, and I'm sure the physicians who are up here will reflect this as well. The average American does not need to go out and buy a mask. But this administration is going to always put first...
Stop hoarding masks.
Our patients first, and second, we're going to make sure and protect the health of our healthcare providers. As the president said, we have more than 40 million masks available today. We've contracted now with 3M to 35 million more masks per month will be produced, and we're also going to be working with other manufacturers. In addition to that,
Yeah, that's why.
the Assistant Secretary...
That's why. Look at Lake on the stock exchange, LAKE. Look at the rise in that stock price.
Of masks, as well as prioritizing availability to high-risk healthcare workers, modifying guidance, and developing a whole-of-nations communications plan. The president wants us to be certain that our healthcare providers have the support they need to do their job and to do their job safely. With that, I'm going to yield the podium to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and then we'll hear from some of our medical experts.
I'm going to go take a Silkwood shower right after
American,
this.
at President Trump's direction, this is an all-hands-on-deck effort.
No question, Julie.
While
You're
the
absolutely
risks
right.
to Americans remain low, the president's actions today with regard to Iran, with regard to Italy and with South Korea, and with regard to making medical supplies more available, I hope gives evidence to the fact that at his direction, we're going to continue to lean into this effort and put the health and safety of the American people first. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Let me begin by, on behalf of all of the officials at HHS and our whole teams, expressing our sadness for the loss of this patient in the state of Washington. Any single death for us is a real tragedy, and our sympathy to her family and our solidarity with all those who are and will suffer from the novel coronavirus. From day one, this is what we predicted. This is what we expected. The risk to any average American is low from the novel coronavirus. The risk remains low thanks to the unprecedented actions President Trump has taken. And the
Enough of this Baghdad Bob bullshit. Like, sorry, we're on post show, so I could swear. Might get a little carried away. Let's see. Hold on. I don't know why this. Why the chat bubbly thing just gets frozen and stops working on this software. It's very odd. So I can't put messages up on the screen when I talk about them, and so I have to pull up the other chat. Look, it's all BS. They care more about Trump's image than anything else in the world. This is true. Let the scientists. Even Azar doesn't know what he's talking about. Nancy, we will see you. Wear a mask if you want to. It won't, unless you're sick, it won't matter. Just don't touch your face and wash your hands. Yeah, first it's a hoax, now it's serious. Exactly. Virus is in full retreat thanks to Trump and his strategic Sharpie usage, right? Jesus.
He's
idiots.
announcing today.
Whatever. Oh, here comes the other
Thank
dude.
you very much, Mr. Secretary. I want to first again, as the entire team
Yes, I did,
feels,
Billy.
to extend our sympathies to the family of the individual who expired as a result of this particular virus and this particular disease. But I also want to underscore and emphasize the points that the Secretary made about what is evolving here. You've heard of the terminology community spread. Well, community spread is when you have infection in the community in which you don't have a direct link to a known index case. That really challenges us with something that we need to do and that we do very well. The state and local health authorities, in collaboration with the CDC, would need to identify, isolate, and contact trace. And that's what's going on right here in the country. With regard to the particular area.
All right. These guys spend, like, I got to say this. This nonsense that the Republicans have been pushing since Reagan, you know, what was the exact Reagan quote? The 12 worst words or whatever. Thank you, Jill Carter. Thank you so much. I'm from the government. Reagan, like his exact words on it. The 9 most terrifying words someone used.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Think about that in the context of CDC, NIH, Army Corps of Engineers, FEMA response teams, like, especially during a contagion. Thank you, Jill. I will. I'll do my best. That not only is that just embarrassing and lame, it's in this circumstance dangerous because these idiots all get panicked and don't trust the government.
Measures that would hopefully contain this. But as we say this, we need to prepare for further challenges, and we will have them.
Can we not get a guy who sounds like he's fighting a sore throat?
You will hear about additional cases that will be coming on. You should not be surprised by that, but to realize that that is something that is anticipated.
Seriously, it sounds like he's holding off a cough.
When you get community spread. So when you have cases throughout the world, the way we're seeing now, South Korea, Italy, Iran, and places like that, the United States cannot be completely immune to that. The challenge is how we deal with it. And I can assure you all the resources that are necessary are going to be put into dealing with what we see evolving right now. And again, we'd be happy to answer any questions later, but Bob, do you want to say a few words?
I also want to add my prayers and sympathies for those that are sick and obviously our citizen that unfortunately died last night. Currently, as said, there's 22 cases in the United States, and these initial cases were really linked to travel to China and their contacts.
Oh, thank you,
Recently,
Julie.
as
Wow.
was stated, we've confirmed new cases with no link to travel history or contacts.
Oh, you're in Tel Aviv.
Health departments under
They have,
the
be
leadership
safe
of
when
the
you're traveling, kiddo.
states,
I worry about you
and
now
local
because
health
you're traveling.
departments supported by CDC are aggressively evaluating these cases.
Don't say aggressive.
In California, Oregon, and Washington. As was said, we should anticipate to see additional cases and clusters in the days ahead, and we will continue to aggressively evaluate them by the state and local and territorial tribal health departments in conjunction with CDC by embracing early case recognition, isolation, contact tracing, and begin to do that to limit the further spread. I want to also add my emphasis to what was said, that as we stand here today, the risk of the American public remains low. As was said, we should anticipate more cases, but again, the current risk to the American public remains low.
Yeah.
If I could just ask you, you said the other day in the cabinet room with African American leaders, you've got to get away from politics. You were down in Charleston last night using the word hoax when talking about Democrats. Somebody now is dead from this. Do you regret that kind of talk?
No. Hoax referring to the action that they take to try and pin this on somebody because we've done such a good job. The hoax is on them. I'm not talking about what's happening here. I'm talking what they're doing. That's the hoax. That's just a continuation of the hoax, whether it's the impeachment hoax or the Russia hoax. This is what I'm talking about. Certainly not referring to this. How could anybody refer to this? This is very serious stuff. But the way they refer to it, because these people have done such an incredible job, and I don't like it when they are criticizing these people, and that's the hoax. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm just going to ask you directly about this with regard to the flow of information. From the very beginning, you received a lot of criticism regarding that, in particular about Dr. Anthony Fauci. He is world-renowned in contagious diseases, and there were reports out there that he was being muzzled. Can you tell us that this widely respected expert, Dr. Fauci, will have every opportunity to tell us the truth?
Well, that's a very dishonest question because he has had that ability to do virtually whatever he's wanted to do. And in fact, he was never muzzled.
Okay.
I think I can speak. You can speak. Why don't you speak to that? Very dishonest question, but that's okay.
It's not dishonest. I want to clarify, Mr. President. I want to clarify.
So let me clarify.
Don't.
I have never been muzzled.
Can people think he's not being allowed to speak? Can you tell everybody unequivocally he can't be allowed to speak? He can be allowed to speak. Yes, just say it. Just go, yeah, no, he isn't. He's not being muzzled. I'll let him mention that as well, but that gets out about, that's to be expected when people are worried about something. Be a friggin' president.
Misrepresentation of what happened.
Are you considering other travel restrictions, and what about closing the southern border?
We are looking also southern border. In fact, some of the folks...
I've been looking for an excuse to close the southern border since the Mexican-American War.
We've received a lot of power on the southern border over the last couple of years from the courts, but we are looking at that very strongly.
Mr. President, how should Americans prepare for this virus? Should they go on with their
Thank you, Thomas Rock. I will never be muzzled. If they ever try to muzzle me, it'll just kind of end up with me going, "There's nothing you can do, Batman."
I think it's really important that, as I said, the risk at this time is low. The American public needs to go on with their normal lives. Okay?
Just don't travel to a bunch of different countries and stop hoarding masks.
New community links.
And listen to your government, even though we've been telling you forever not to.
To the American public, but at this stage, again, the risk is low. We need to go on with our normal lives.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Increasing of the coronavirus in South Korea, and to worry about the U.S. troops in South Korea.
I love watching him listen to people with accents while he tries to understand what they're saying.
In touch with the troops. We've been speaking to the general, as you probably know, 32,000 troops in South Korea. And that's all working out fine. And we're in touch. We were in touch with the authorities in South Korea too.
What responsibility do you feel, as you're communicating about this, for the public to follow your directions and to take the prudent steps? And then when you did use the word hoax, couldn't that cause some people to not take the precautionary steps because they are linking what you're saying when you use the word hoax in the context of coronavirus?
Okay, so again, the hoax was used with respect to Democrats and what they were saying. It was a hoax, what they were saying, and that was very clear if you'd read the words, and I think you know that too.
What words? What are you talking about? What the hell is that? What is that?
It was the words that they were using that were the hoax.
Which ones? The ones about it's serious and you don't know what you're talking about? And your ridiculous press conference from 2 days ago made the stock market go down an extra 1,000 points? Jesus.
Responsibility. I think the biggest decision we made was going very early, and that was a decision made against a lot of people that thought we shouldn't do that. That's why we're at 22 instead of a much higher number. It would have been a much higher number. That was a big decision. It was a hard decision because it had never been done before anyway. I mean, not even early or late. It had never been made a decision like that. So that was big. And my next thing is really getting the best people. We're the best people in the world. They're standing behind me. These people are so talented. I've seen
So
them
good.
in action now for
So good.
a number of weeks,
They
actually.
could.
But for
What is he talking about?
in particular for the last
This-
4 or 5 days. And I want to thank Mike Pence and everybody for the job they're doing. We have a great team. We have great people. And this too will end.
This too. Listen to him. He's now. All right. He's now going biblical.
Go. Do what?
Mr. President.
Mr. President, you talked about people going about their routine. I did want to ask, though, with you and the Vice President, is the White House taking any extra precautions to make sure that you don't come in contact with the virus, either through your travel or with who you meet?
He gets.
Well, I think so. I mean, we lead a life. I get around. I was in South Carolina last night. We had a tremendous rally. I've been around. I think we're going to be in very good shape. You know, you're talking about 22 people right now in this whole very vast country. So I think we'll be in very good shape.
He's traditionally, one of these people who says he's a germaphobe. I'm drinking my own urine just to protect myself from coronavirus. It's iced tea and it's from last night. I ordered food to the room while I was watching the news and all this kind of stuff, prepping for the show. And so it was left over. I was going to go get a coffee this morning, but I didn't have time, and so I'm drinking tea. It's not bad. It's good. Bye, Mary. Take care. They had doctors in the street clothes meeting the plane from China. Oops. Yeah, really. Said, don't touch your face, wash conversation. Yeah. Say what? I don't get it. I don't know why they're not just hammering this point.
A couple of questions for Dr. Fauci about some particulars about the virus. Dr. Fauci, what do you now understand about the morbidity? The Secretary refers to medically fragile people. Are you confident that if you're a relatively healthy young person, that this will not be fatal for you?
Okay, so the number in our country currently is low. But when you look at the pattern, it seems to be following the experiences that others have had. It's never 100%. If you look at the totality of the cases that have been reported, particularly from China, about 75 to 80% of them would do really quite well. They would just sort of like a bad flu or a cold. You get anywhere from 15 to 20 somewhat percent who are going to go on to require advanced medical care, hospitalization, possibly intensive care.
Right.
For the most part, the people who get in trouble and ultimately, tragically, would die from this are people who are elderly and or have underlying conditions. Heart disease, chronic lung disease, diabetes, obesity because of the difficulty in breathing back and forth.
Okay, hold on. Listen to that for a second. All right, hold on.
Every healthy young person, that this will not be fatal for you.
Okay.
This-
You look at sort of like a bad flu or care, hospitalization, possibly intensive care. For the most part, the people who get in trouble and ultimately, tragically, would die from this are people who are elderly and or have underlying conditions. Heart disease, chronic lung disease, diabetes, obesity because of the difficulty in breathing back and forth. However, every once in a while, you're going to see a one-off. You're going to see a 25-year-old person who looks otherwise well that's going to get seriously ill. But the vast majority of the people who get into trouble
Okay.
who have these underlying...
60% of the U.S. population is obese. And the woman who just died is in her 50s. That's not elderly. Americans aren't elderly in any stretch. Most, first world countries aren't elderly until they're, 80. Yeah. 65%. I wouldn't doubt that it's higher because they've flexed the amount in there. It's not a small group of people. And if you have diabetes with it and other stuff. That's why it's so dangerous.
Conditions, and that's why infants are killed. But the majority is in that risk group.
And one more technical question. Have you determined whether there are any variants of this virus so that a person who may have gotten it and then gotten over it could get it again?
No, there's no indication that that's going on at all. If this virus...
The reinfection rate story, by the way, guys, a lot of times what's happened is because there's a worry about this particular disease and that they weren't testing everybody. A lot of people who had a normal flu or a normal cold were, on a precautionary level trying to go in and find out if they had, thought they had it essentially. Went in, recovered from it, and then actually because they'd been in the hospital or around it, actually got it and tested positive after the fact, or in the incubation period, they had another disease, so they don't get it twice. Am I correct in saying that you can't get the normal flu twice in one season? Exactly. It's the same kind of thing. There's no reason to believe there would be you could get it again at this point. Reinfection is fairly rare. Anthrax has a reinfection rate that's really dangerous.
Like other viruses.
They're just yelling at him.
I want to ask you about the peace deal in Doha between the Taliban and the U.S. Does this mean
Fox News.
the war in Afghanistan is over? Is the Taliban in charge? And secondly, Congressman John Ratcliffe, why are you renominating him?
He's a terrific man. He's been fantastic at everything he's done. He's highly respected. He wanted to wait till after the IG report came in, as you saw. Originally, I don't think he was officially or formally nominated. His name was thrown out, but he wanted to wait till after the IG report. The IG report has now
Nobody else will do it.
come, and we've learned a lot of very bad things from the IG report, as you know very well. And I think he'll go through a process, and it'll go 2 years. And I think they have big incentives to do it, but what we've done has been...
Mr. President, you mentioned the drop of spread in China, coronavirus cases. Is the U.S. government considering evaluating similar measures in the U.S. in case the situation gets
Some
worse?
measures, we've been in very close contact with China, including myself with President Xi. He very much wanted this to happen. He wanted this to get out and finished and be done. He's been working very, very hard, I can tell you that. And they're making a lot of progress in China. You probably saw Starbucks are now opened again. You probably saw that, as I mentioned, Tim just came out.
Okay, Starbucks are franchise owned, including the ones in China. The government is part owner of all franchise businesses in China. She ordered everyone back to work. That doesn't mean that the disease is under control.
And he said Apple is back to normal in terms of production in their facility.
No, they're not. The factories were ordered back. They don't have enough factory workers because a lot of people stayed home during the Chinese New Year because they'd rather be there's a Chinese phrase that says it's better to be sick sick at home where you can get help than to die on the road. Don't quit it. Siri, go away.
In China, they've made a lot of progress.
Thank you. Couple of questions, one of them technical. The woman who passed away, did she travel to South Korea or is she a case of community spread?
Oops. Yeah, the case, again, this is why we're talking about the community cases with no link to travel. So the investigation at this time shows no evidence of link to travel or a known contact.
Okay, and also you said that Americans as a whole are at a low risk. Are Americans on the west coast of the United States at a low risk? And are you considering restricting travel within the United States?
So I just want to emphasize again that the Americans, independent of...
Treat it like a normal flu and make sure that if they have any problem breathing, they get to a hospital, Amy. If they're reasonably healthy, they should be able to get through it. If they have no other... comorbidity is the big killer in this situation. I can't get one of my products right now due to frozen China production shipping. They're full of it. Yeah.
where they live in this nation are at low risk.
Most people have
We're going to continue to evaluate
Corona Light with no lime.
unlinked cases as we see them, and as we learn, we'll obviously communicate that.
Yes, I am,
Thank you so
Caio.
much, Mr. President. Why are you considering closing the border with Mexico since there are so many more cases here than there? And another question, are you working with the governments from Brazil and Mexico to try to coordinate a response about this? Did you talk to President Bolsonaro?
Well, we have a great relationship, as you know, with Mexico. We have 27,000 soldiers. They're soldiers on our border doing a fantastic job. Our numbers are way down, people coming into our country illegally. We have ports of entry that we are keeping open, and we're not talking about it. We're thinking about all borders. We have to think about that border, but right now that is not a border as it pertains to what we're talking about here. This is not a border that seems to be much of a problem right now. We hope we won't have to do that. Yes, please go ahead.
Mr. President, if I could just follow on Afghanistan.
No, you aren't. Please.
Thank you very much, President. I'm just wondering what's the communication with China look like right now, and does the experience and lessons coming from China will help the U.S. dealing with the current situation?
Well, I think our relationship with China is very good. We just did a big trade deal. We're starting on another trade deal with China, a very big one, and we've been working very closely. They've been talking to our people. We've been talking to their people, having to do with the virus. No, our relationship with China is very good. Maybe it's closer because of what's happened here. Because it was, in a certain way, this can bring the world closer. If you want to know, it can really do that. Go ahead.
Mr. President, on Afghanistan, if I could just follow up. You pride yourself on a deal maker, but your former National Security Advisor, John Bolton, has said that this is an Obama-style deal and sends the wrong message to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. What did the Taliban give up here? Will you be hosting the Taliban in Washington at Camp David, or will you meet them abroad?
We'll look at that. Look, nobody should be criticizing this deal after 19 years. He had his chance. He didn't do it. He was very much in favor of going in. We should have never gone in the first place. When they went into Iraq. Listen. When they went into Iraq, when they went into the Middle East in such a fashion, I was very much against it. Shouldn't have gone in. He thought we should have. That's been proven wrong. I'm surprised that anybody would be against something where we try and end a 19-year war. We're 8,000 miles away from our home. We've done a great job in the sense that we've killed a lot of terrorists. We've put them out of commission. Who knows what
Which we shouldn't have done,
they would have
according
done
to what he just said.
if we didn't do that. But it's time for us to come home. Now, the Taliban working with other nations, perhaps, because you're surrounded by other very strong nations. And whether it's Pakistan
Oh,
or...
my God.
And H has done great. We've done what we have noticed. He was.
There's no deal. It won't happen.
President, the other day, thank you, Mr. President. The other day you spoke about the impact, the financial impact, the economic impact of the coronavirus on our country. Yesterday there was a letter that was sent out publicly by the Federal Reserve Chairman talking about steps that the Fed may do to prevent economic impacts happening here in the United States. What's your reaction? Is that enough, that kind of a letter?
No, I think the Fed has a very important role, and especially psychological. I mean, if you look at the Fed has a massive impact. Lots of it is psychological, and lots of it is fact. This is something I think they should have done even beyond this and before this, because other countries that are not as nearly as prime, we're the greatest in the world. It's our currency, everything. We have everything. We should have the lowest interest rates. We don't have the lowest interest rates. Our Fed rate is higher. You look at Germany, you look at Japan, you look at other countries. Many of them have negative rates. And we are not put in that position because of our Fed. And now we have this problem. You saw where Germany is lowering and also infusing a lot of money into their economy, a tremendous amount. I haven't heard our Fed say they should do this. Our Fed should start being a leader, not a follower. Our Fed has been a follower. We need a Fed that's going to be a leader. We should have at least the same rates and ideally lower rates than other countries. We shouldn't be paying more, but we're forced to pay more on interest, and we are the most prime. Think of it. Biggest economy in the world by far. China would have overtaken us in this year. They were expected to for 5 years. 2019, they were going to overtake us. They're not even close, and they won't be close. As long as somebody smart is right here, they won't be close. But I will say this, the relationship with them is good, but as far as the Fed is concerned, our Fed should be a leader. Our Fed has not been a leader at all.
Face-to-face meeting with the Fed chairman.
Frankly, we could refinance our debt at even lower rates. The rates are very low, but we should be refinancing debt at even lower rates. Our Fed is making us pay more than we should, and that's ridiculous.
Mr. President, thank you. You mentioned you're having the meeting on Monday with the pharmaceutical executives. Right. As you know, the process of approving medicines is complex and time-consuming.
I think this process will go very quickly.
What powers will you use?
Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, this process is going to go very quickly. And you know, that was, excuse me? Yeah, we can do that. You want to do that? Okay, would you like to say something? All right, okay.
Would you like to say something?
So we are working very diligently with industry. We're using our authorities in an expedited fashion to help with the development of therapeutics, particularly
I don't know.
coronavirus.
He's got.
As you probably
like,
know, we issued a
right
policy
here and
this
right
morning
here.
that allows us to have a lot of flexibility around the development of diagnostic tests. Our colleagues at the CDC have done a great job to have an increase in those tests, and we expect this policy to have a significant impact on that as well. Thanks.
By the way, the meeting with the pharmaceutical companies
Yeah,
was
I saw
actually
that too,
set up
Julie.
before over drug pricing.
Coke
because
knows,
we want
yeah.
prices to go way down. But it turns out to be a very convenient meeting as it pertains to the vaccine.
So you'll talk about both?
Talk about both.
Thank you, Mr. President. You put the Vice President in charge of coronavirus coordination across the government. When he was governor of Indiana, the Vice President allowed an HIV outbreak to spiral out of control because he did not heed the advice of his public health professional advisors who said that a needle exchange was necessary at the beginning of the outbreak. What guarantee can you give Americans that political considerations
Is this
and
true?
ideological
Wait a minute.
issues will play no role in your government's response to this virus?
Well, let me just respond quickly, and then I'm going to have Mike say something about that because I've heard very good explanations, actually. When it came to health care, Indiana has been a leader, an absolute leader. And it was really started with others, but by Mike Pence, and he's done a phenomenal job on health care. One of the best, if not the best in the country. And with that, I'll let Mike respond specifically, if you want to.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. When I was governor of the state of Indiana, we
bastard.
actually had two experiences with the spread of infectious diseases. The first was in 2014 when Indiana was where the very first MERS case in the United States arrived. Obviously an infectious disease much more deadly than the coronavirus that we're dealing with today. It was then when I was governor that I learned of the extraordinary capabilities of CDC. I worked with
MERS doesn't have an
my
infection
health
level
officials
of
in the
this
state of
disease.
Indiana, worked with federal
It's not even
officials,
close.
and maybe most importantly,
Yeah.
learned
That's
the
right.
valuable role
Can't stop lying. Just
that local health officials play in dealing with the spread of infectious disease. I'm proud to say that the state of Indiana secured that patient, found out everyone they'd ever contacted. There were no additional infections, and that patient recovered. There was only one other MERS disease.
because it wasn't nearly
The
as
other incident was in
infectious.
2015. We had an outbreak of HIV in a very small town that emerged in early 2015. My health officials came to me. We immediately deployed health resources. The truth is HIV/AIDS was being spread by people sharing needles in intravenous drug use.
Yeah, and they
And the
said
state of
if
Indiana
you had a
did
needle
not
exchange,
allow
it would have stopped it.
for providing a needle exchange to citizens. But the CDC came in and made a recommendation, and I declared a public health emergency and made for 30 days a needle exchange available in the state of Indiana. And I'm proud to say that every one of those patients was treated.
After.
We ended the spread of the HIV/AIDS virus in that community. But again,
They held out as long as you could.
As I've said before, I think, as the President and I have discussed, I think my experience as a governor dealing with two different infectious diseases and seeing the vital role that local healthcare providers play, that federal officials play, it has really informed me. It's one of the reasons why I've been spending a lot of time talking to governors. I met yesterday with state health officials
Wow.
and the governor in Florida. And
Hey, Ben.
I'm proud of the work that we did in the state of Indiana. And I hope to continue to bring all of the best minds together to deal with this issue.
It's a great answer, and he's doing a great job. Go ahead. He's doing a great job. Great answer. Thank
Good,
you.
great, so good.
2 days ago, 36 Turkish soldiers were killed in Idlib, Syria.
Oh, yeah.
And today, Turkish foreign...
When was that? When?
2 days ago.
Okay.
And today, Turkish foreign minister...
Wait, so Trump doesn't know that Russia killed, what, 30 Turkish soldiers?
Çavuşoğlu said Turkey wants a Patriot air defense system from United States. Are you in talk with Turkish government regarding...
We're speaking to President Erdogan a lot, and we are talking to him about exactly what you're referring to.
On the markets, are you able to do anything from a policy or reassurance standpoint to try to deal with...
The markets will all come back. The markets are very strong. The consumer is unbelievably strong. The companies are very strong. We have one problem. We have to get this problem brought into focus, and it is right now. I think our professionals are doing a great job. I'm not thinking in terms. Well, it's certainly not a good situation when you lose travel. That's a big part of market. But for a period of time, we're going to have to do whatever is necessary. Safety, health, number one. The markets will take care of themselves. The companies are very powerful. Our consumer has never been in a better position than they are right now. Larry Kudlow was telling me before that the numbers, I said, don't even bring it up, what difference? But that the numbers are very strong. He's got numbers from Friday, very strong. You see the numbers. But our focus is on exactly this. It's not on that. That will take care of itself.
It'll take care of itself.
Considering any tax breaks to help ease the pain?
I think the big thing we're looking for is the Fed to do its job. If the Fed does its job, that's what we are really looking for. Prior to this, as you know, we announced that we're going to be at the end of the year. Toward the end of the year, we're going to be announcing a middle income tax cut. In order to get that through, I don't think the Democrats are going to be approving any tax
Around the
cuts
election.
they like to raise taxes instead of lower taxes. But we'll be in the not too distant future announcing a very major middle income tax cut. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen,
How can you say that the markets about the momentum?
Go ahead, please.
People started to buy hand sanitizer and food supplies and also medical supplies to prepare. And there are news about some of the items are out of stock. Do you think they should get prepared and also...
I think it's always good to be prepared. I think it's always good, but we are super prepared. When you hear 43 million masks as an example. All right, we'll do one more. Go ahead, the gentleman.
Thank you very much. It has been reported yesterday that you are willing at this point to meet with leaders of Russia, China, the UK, and France to discuss arms control issues, among other things.
They all want to discuss arms control, and that's a wise thing. We're spending now over $20 billion on nuclear and on the super speed missiles and many other things. And they have come to me, and they all want to now discuss arms control. And that includes China, and that includes Russia.
He is Russian.
And I think it's very smart of them to want to do it, and I think it's very smart of us to want to do it. And we will be discussing that in New York. Go ahead, one final question. Go ahead.
All right, last one.
Do you anticipate troops will be returning? You said, how soon do you see them returning in this U.S.-Taliban agreement? How soon do you expect?
That's what he'd rather be talking about.
Today. Okay? Today. They'll start immediately. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be doing this quite often. We're going to keep you abreast of all of the facts. And, again, I want to thank the professionals. They are great professionals. I've gotten to really know them and see them under very interesting and tough and trying conditions. We have the finest in the world. I will say this. Other countries call us, and they ask, would it be possible for them to speak to Anthony and Bob and the people that you're talking to on a daily basis now. So we're going to be very transparent. We'll be meeting you probably tomorrow or the next day. We'll keep you abreast. Thank you very much.
And he walks out.
Is traveling to Washington State.
Lumbering out. Oh, and the bald spot showing today. That's interesting. That's a new one. That's new. That's a full-on. They just aren't even bothering anymore. That's all right. Maybe he's seen Biden, doing well, and just decided to rock his hairdo. That's a full-on. It's do this and get out of here. Yeah. So funny. Hold on. Let me pop out the chat so I can see you guys. I'm going to talk to you guys for a little bit. I just wanted to like play some of that, and we'll hide this restream thing and put this over here and move this over here, and then I can see what the heck, and then there you go. Well, Syphilex Luthor. Ew. He does take Propecia. I think it only helps if doesn't Propecia only work if you already have hair there? It's just they're thin and it reactivates them. But if they, I don't know. I don't know how it works. I just see those Roman ads all the time, and they always talk about it. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, he does lie about everything, Ginger. It's very weird. Trump can't see the back of his head when he's probably using the same spot, or using the. Oh, you guys are talking fast now because you know I'm looking. Who's Ginger? Ginger's in here. Ginger says he lies about everything. Ginger Voigt, she's just above. Yeah, the first death. Oh, who Ginger? You were talking about her. I was like, you know who Ginger is. Replying to JDK afterwards. Why would you share needles with someone who is sick? I don't understand that. Because they don't know someone is sick. That's heroin users. There's a communal aspect to using heroin. People do it together. Yeah. Which one was the 19-year-old man, Ginger? I didn't miss that part. No, the 50-year-old woman is the one in Washington State. How the spray hair comes from China is shipment from China is holding up for 2 weeks. That's touche. That might explain it. Addicts need to get high. The how doesn't matter, right? Wait, I missed it, Billy. What happened? Oh, Sasha called from New York City. She's going to lead and play in New Jersey in April, but does not have all the protection. That's great. Kids going places. They don't care. They just want to fix. No, the 19-year-old was the Washington death? No. He wasn't. So far. That's what they're reporting. Oh. I have never done drugs. What is heroin? Is it cocaine? No, heroin is an opiate derivative that is injected. Cocaine is snorted. It's a stimulant. They're the exact opposite. How do you play Marvel Contest of Champions? No, but I want to. Not so far, anyways. Only Trump's hairdresser knows for sure. Yeah, then they sign an NDA. So. Oh, the 19-year-old was the Washington death? He lied about it? I don't think so. I think the... I mean, this is an information. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. I think the youngest fatality. Oh, that was January. Let's see. 19-year-old dies. Yeah. Coronavirus, age, sex, demographics. Here it is. Cocaine can also be injected. Yeah, I don't recommend any of it. Don't do drugs, kids. At all. Bear used to sell heroin. Bear, they named it. Yeah, heroin is a brand name. He's running out of topic. They make blonde topic? He always lies. He should have said 50-something woman. It would have been a man in a different age range. No, it's like, insofar as I know, it is. That's the fact. It's Yeah. The comorbidity rate in the confirmed cases, cardiovascular disease is one, which is not surprising because it's usually linked. I mean, that's a broad spectrum of things, but diabetes is 9.2%. Breaking fake news, right? Yeah, I don't see the 19-year-old. Sorry, but send me a link. Yeah, all these are saying it's 50-year-old woman. From all the news I can find. I don't know that he has different information. Okay. Just got a voicemail in Mandarin. I wonder if it's virus-related spam. Right. I think it was a mistake. COVID-19, and the 19 looked like it was the age because it was the next line. Yes. Yeah. It is a 50-year-old woman. Look at comonews.com. Yeah. That's the local station here. But it's a 50-year-old woman. Yeah. Yeah, they'll be they're going to air that later. Right. My daughter was at a basketball game and they were doing the pyramid, and the other girl they threw up in the air, and when she down there goes, one of the girls, he went into her back. Her arm? Oh. I agree. Ali Velsh's a good dude. That's right. That's right, Can't Sublion. And Paige Davis still can't stand me because I won. Or nail went to her back. CV Nick said someone died at 17. Rocky Mountain Mike, simmer down. What was he on today, or did we interrupt his nap? He had a rally, I think last night, right? I think he was just, he just drags the day after a rally because he gets all jacked up on caffeine and Adderall, and then he crashes, and then he's got to get up and do work the next morning. Boring. I think that's what it was, Julie. It looks like he's just bagged out after a rally. On the edge of 17. You guys, check yourself. That's right. Yeah, I did. I found the Washington State stuff. It's a 50-year-old woman. I'm just supposed to, like spring break is coming up, and I'm supposed to see Camden and take him to see my dad, and take him and my mom, both of whom are getting have medical stuff. My mom's getting cataract surgery. My dad's getting kidney issues. Their health isn't that strong, and I'm going to get tested for it before I go see Camden, so I don't give it to him just by being out and about and traveling and all this stuff. Hal, have you ever heard about the Draco vaccine for viruses? No, I have not. Oops. Is that anything like the Drago vaccine, where, a Russian punches your virus in the face? Todd Ryder, the man who maybe could cure most viruses. I see it. I was way back in MIT. There's an Indiegogo for it a couple years ago. Ryder Institute is crowdfunding $2 million for Draco research. And why haven't we heard anything recently about Draco antiviral drug? Still in development. Draco. Double standard RNA activated caspase oligomerizer. Oligomerizer. All right. Oligomerizer? Oligomerizer? I don't know. I don't have to. A group of antiviral drugs under development at MIT and cell culture show a broad space efficacy against infectious viruses, including the dengue fever, which is also, dengue is one of those things you can get again and it's really bad. Rhinovirus, which is common cold. It's found effective against influenza in vivo in weanling mice. It was reported to induce rapid apoptosis, which selectively in virus-infected mammalian cells, while leaving uninfected cells unharmed. Nice. Okay. I'm reclaiming my time, Hal. It's been bean soup and hammocks. That's a good idea. Yeah, it's 50 years old. Yeah. If it dies, if the virus dies, it dies. Right. Yeah, Trump looked like crap today. Agreed. And, you know, somebody asked him at the end, like, he's a notorious germaphobe, you know, which is why, that was his reason, excuse me. That was his reason why he was, allegedly there is no pee-pee tape, because he was so grossed out by germs. Do we know how many have been tested? No, we don't have an exact number right now. Apparently, Washington officials gave no gender, leading to the confusion. I get you. Okay. NPR reported a universal flu vaccine a couple of days ago, but it's 10 to 15 years off and need proper funding. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why that isn't, considering the death rate with regular flu all the time, why that isn't a priority. Uh-oh, acts onto me. Yeah. Oh, God, I'm so tired, you know, just kind of, right. Did rhinovirus come from rhinoceros? Yes. No, it's because it's your nose. It mostly has symptoms in your nose. Take it from someone who lost a child is the worst thing a parent can go through, so all of you with kids, please keep them well. Absolutely. That's right. And we are doing your colostrum, it's a good idea. We are doing a temporary pause, wonky donk podcast for, until we figure out whether or not Jackie can, you know, continue to do it while she's in her position as the spokesperson for Planned Parenthood, which is a great job, and I'm so excited for her. We had a big talk when she's like, "Should I take? I don't know." And I'm like, "Of course, they're lucky to have you." So we're gonna have that, and then it might be that Wonky Donk transmutes into a show where I interview people like Malcolm Nance and stuff about the very specific aspects of things like the Patriot Act or rules of secrecy and all that kind of stuff. Got to run, got a flight back to Germany in the morning. It's been fun here in Israel, but have enough of politics. It's only going to heat up with the election night. Yes, Julie, get some rest, travel safely, put Neosporin in your nostrils and in the kids' nostrils while you fly. That's my mom's trick. I do it all the time. My nose itches right now because I did it earlier. You just literally just put a little bit of Neosporin inside your nose. There you go. It's sickening. Trump thinks everything is a hoax. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Neosporin, yep. Just for you for work. I got you. We'll do that. Yes, Neosporin just in the inside of your nose. It's an old trick. Yeah. It kills just about everything. So, yeah. What is it with you in your ear? The earbuds I was using are different than the ones I normally do, and they hurt. So my ear kind of itches from the right one. That's what's wrong with my ear. So after I take my headphones out, they kind of, like the top part of my ear right here gets pushed up against, and I don't want to like scratch at it or whatever, so I just kind of wiggle it and hope it goes away. Does that make sense? Whoa. Let's check. You could still maybe do a few shows and specials about what Planned Parenthood exactly. Can't Stop Lying. That was my hope, is that she could, we could do some specific stuff to that. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different health issues that they cover, not just birth control. So yeah. How do you think Trump would react if one of his kids got coronavirus? I mean, I think they would just get the best help and survive it. And they, I think he'd just assume it'd be fine because they have money and everything they need. They could buy a private respirator. They would get Secret Service level. They'd go to Walter Reed probably. Yeah. It says camphor in it, yeah. Planned Parenthood has been a lifesaver for many decades, exactly. Depends which kid. Eric is doing so much better. I don't understand it. Yeah, so take care. Travel safe, Julie. Glenn, what's his name, used Vicks to make himself cry. Oh, Glenn Beck. Yeah. Castor oil cures all ailments. The old castor oil trick, the old Edgar Casey route. It's been a bit since I've rode a horse. When was the last one? China. The last horse I rode was in China. Last year. Early last year. Last February. It was nice. It was a good horse too. He was all right. He was, he was a walking horse. They would never let it get out in public. Yeah. That's right. If you use Amazon, you can set Amazon to use any charity you want, and I use Wild Horse Ranch Rescue. The Can't Stop Lying just put the link in the chat. Secret Service had to pay $57,000 just to protect Eric Trump last week. It cost them $57,000 to keep Don Jr. from punching him. All right. Hal, will you sleep nap before SL tonight? Yes, I will. Yeah. Try to sleep off my nightmares from last night. Good Lord. Yes. Don't huff the Neosporin, just put it on your nose. That's right. Yeah. You just rub a little bit on the inside of your nostril and go wash your hands. Because the other thing, too, is staph infection lives inside your nostrils. So if you touch your nose or whatever and you pick up staph infection anywhere, you can transmit it. Yes, my mom, who was a nurse, suggested doing that during cold season or when flying, a barrier from the mucous membranes. Yeah, exactly. Warm milk is a good idea. Yeah, I'm going to get some rest. Because of allergies, I still slather on the Vicks when I have a cold. Works great. Vicks chicken soup, hot tea with a shot of brandy, sweat it out. Works every time. Yeah. Well, you definitely want to pull out all the stops to keep yourself healthy, whatever that takes, And yes, put warm milk in your nostrils. No, don't do that. Yeah, you should drink it from a fire hose. Just that's vaguely porny. Sorry about that. Yeah. I'm gonna stay on till 12:30 if that's good for everybody, and then I'll send you on your way. My time. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the trick, was just smearing it just inside your nostrils a little bit. So there you go. I don't know. Switch as. Howard Brown Clinic in Chicago is already treating high-risk HIV community long before Reagan's Republicans woke. They were a wonderful education health service. Chicago's always been fantastic about it. I mean, the center on Halstead is one of the best like LGBT centers in the entire country. Tea and old granddad helps get rid of a cold. It'll kill some stuff, that's for sure. I have back-to-back nightmares to the extent of waking up with my heart racing. Ooh, sorry about that. I had 2 in a row last night. It was just awful. It's weird. Bleeding me. Chicago's pretty great, yeah. Sorry, I missed the chat. What is the word about camphor oil? I've got some camphorphenique here. What should I do with it? Vaseline for your... Well, not Vaseline. Neosporin. Vaseline if you have dry nose, and that's part of the problem, maybe. Just, you know. Can you close the post show with some heart karaoke? I think that's a great idea. It'd be a little loud in the hotel, though. Although I think I'm alone here. That's the weird thing about this. Like, John and Steph get in today, and I got in yesterday because I had to get up and do radio. Okay, white jelly for your nose. All right, perv. But yeah, so, you know, they're just rolling into this news. They're on a plane when they found out that the first death happened, I think. Yeah, Vicks for the nose is for when you're around a dead body. That was just for the to hide the smell. Yeah, that's what they're putting on in Silence of the Lambs. They streak it under their nose. That's camphor and other stuff. Oh, that's great. Are you bringing them with you, Seattle Susie Q? Wonder if steroid inhalers will minimize the issue. That's a good question. I wouldn't know. Vaseline works for a lot. I think, what is it? There's a group of South American Indians that eat Vaseline. It's just, you know, it's a byproduct of petroleum that shows up naturally at oil wells. And when it would come out of the ground, it seeps around the side of it. So they would purify it, and then they add sugar and stuff to it and use it as a base for gelatins. They literally spread it on bread and eat it. It's very weird. Tiger Balm's a good Vicks alternative. It's more for sore muscles. What am I talking about? I'm tired. You can tell. How there's a great Vietnamese place in Des Plaines. My neighbors 2 doors down own it. Oh, that's great. Well, we will, you know, I'll hit it when I come to Chicago. I accidentally kissed somebody on the nose last week. It was dark. Yeah, people eat Vaseline. It's very weird. I've got to look it up or whatever, like, people eat like a spoonful of Vaseline for health. It's very odd. I mean, I don't recommend it. Look it up. So, yeah. So, the guy who invented Vaseline, Robert Chesborough, he ate a spoonful of it every day. It's called rod wax that happens when they periodically remove the pumps. When he learns the workers had been using it to treat cuts and burns, he started experimenting on it. He spent over a decade perfecting his extraction and purification process before introducing his Wonder Jelly to the world. Wonder Jelly. He marketed his product, all right. He marketed his product by driving around New York and burning his skin with acid or an open flame and then applying the jelly to his injuries, showing past injuries that had healed. In 1874, stores were selling over 1,400 jars of Vaseline a day. Chemist T.L. Williams mixed coal dust with Vaseline petroleum and invented mascara. That's interesting. While other products might feature petroleum jelly, only the product with Blue Seal features are actual Vaseline. Vaseline can be used to lighten eyelashes. What a weird circular kind of thing. And he ate a spoonful of it every day and lived to be like 96. You can loosen your stool if you eat it too much, I guess. And it's very thick and can be easy to choke on. But it's, yeah. This is an article with 3 teaspoons of Vaseline a day keeps the doctor away? Let's see. This is a blog from somebody. Stuff my boyfriend tells me. Vague, papery, but buttery texture, so I declared and finally tasted the Vaseline. She'd never tasted Vaseline. And she tells him about it. Her boyfriend said, oh, that's interesting. And he started cleaning up. And she said, really? It's interesting that I think it tastes like a non-edible, greasy skincare product I've never tasted. Here's why it was interesting. Did you know the guy who invented Vaseline ate 3 teaspoons a day because he believed it contained a magic ingredient that could cure every disease? He didn't. He ate 1. But okay. Yeah. So she tells the whole story of rod wax and petroleum jelly. Gee, Mom, this is an ad for it. Vaseline petroleum jelly. This Vaseline petroleum jelly is so soothing. It's just the thing for a minor burn. Helps prevent infection, too. My husband uses Vaseline petroleum jelly. Oh, my God. No, I'm kidding. For sore hands. I used it to guard against chapped skin. And when the twins were babies, I used Vaseline petroleum jelly to prevent diaper rash. No medicine cabinet should be without it. Get a jar or tube today. I have to confess I've done it. I've actually read these stories about people eating Vaseline. I tried it for a little while. I didn't notice any particular change in anything, but yeah. I've tried a lot of weird stuff over the years, health-wise. Have a great weekend, Hal. Oh, yeah, you take care, Amy. Hope everything goes well with your folks, as do I. Use bag balm, though. Easy. Like the seal of the deal. Take 2 scenes of Vaseline and call the doctor in the morning. You'll need to, right? Because everything just slides right out of me. It's like Olestra, but thicker. I never thought a post-show conversation would include the history of Vaseline, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Well, Ginger, I mean, come on. Look who you're talking to. That's right. Yeah, right? Thank you guys for the, for being here for the whole thing as well. Oh, my ear still itches from that. These earbuds they're just too big, like the frame around. They're supposed to, fit in there, and on my right ear, it just doesn't fit exactly. Vaseline, the poor man's Brill cream. A Lester without the potato flavor, yeah. What happened to Lab Rats? It got turned into Elite Force, and then Elite Force got too expensive. That's the only explanation I found. Our last FEMA exercise was response to coronavirus, which started in South America. This was last year before the field exercises were suspended and defunded. Guess no one learned anything. Yeah, I guess not. Bitter end. That's right. Trader Joe died. What? In my life, I wanted to come back as a historian reading the House Sparks post-show chat, diverse topics. This is true. They used to discuss a great deal of strange things. Oh, thanks, Ginger. Fist bump. Oh, and thanks, Ginger, for my bracelet. A birthday bracelet. I'm wearing it. Ginger got me this this bracelet the symbol's upside down the way I'm wearing it, but you can see it that way for my birthday. Peanut butter health. That's right. Buy some merch. The links are below. There's actually some. Oh, look at that. Burn, 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 burn. Links are down below. Links are down below. Links. How do you like that, Act? Is that better? Links are down below. Links are down below. Yeah, see you guys next week. I'm going to bow out as well and try and get some rest. Because, by God, I need some sleep. Before the show tonight. Because my body clock is on nighttime because I've been doing so many night shows this week. I literally... And I might go out and do karaoke after the show tonight. Someplace local. Just because. Oh, I'll set an alarm. I'm not going to miss it. Don't worry. But you guys are wonderful. Women buy you jewelry for your birthday. It's true. The decent ones do. How I'm scaring the children. Am I? Sorry. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Hal. Everyone have a nice one. There you go. Master marketing. That's right. Sure you want to be a steer wrestler? Come, yeah. Sleep does equal immunity. You're right, Can't Stop Lying. I need to make sure I got some rest. Although they have a really good gym here. So this is, here's the shoulders. Been working on the shoulders here. Look at that. This is the natural, relaxed shape. No extra whatever. Like we've been framing this whole thing, and you guys know what I've been working on the chesticles, and it's been working. But I also have been trying to carve this out, and that takes some work. So it's like bodybuilder camp. But this is me. The goal of going to the gym for me for a while has been try to look going into the gym the way you used to look going out. So that's where it's been. So it's coming together. It's all right. Phase 50 is in full effect. I need to do more pictures, but I've been so busy lately. I don't bring my stuff with me. So I'm missing the beginning of the chat. Was there much disappointment in Hal not wearing a V-neck? Get out of here, Amy K. Hal's shaming me again. No cleavage. Yeah, I didn't have. I got a better shirt this time, you guys. Don't paint the peacock, Hal, please. Okay. What was that? Am I getting a message from someone? Or are they ringing me because they want? Yeah. Cool. If I looked going into the gym the way I look going out, I'd look exhausted and sore, right? Yeah. What's paint the peacock? I don't know what that is. How are we the same age? I don't know. But I have not, again, I'm so flattered that someone thought I'd had a lot of work done. I'm a little worried that their concern seemed to be that there was too much of it. I'm getting that, what's her name, who played Judy Garland face. Hal is secretly getting a Captain America suit. Oh, you're on to me. Secretly? Yeah. Preparing for Mark Wahlberg standing. I'm not that thick. Yeah, Renee Zellweger, right? Make you better than you already do. Al, you're perfect the way you are. Thanks, Amy. I appreciate that, but I think perfection is a road, not a destination, and you need to take care of yourself. And it's a matter of maintenance for care of your body, Yeah, Lion. Yeah, everybody a big hand for Can't Stop Lying for always just. I will, Richard, for always supporting the show so handily and taking such good care of us and posting all that stuff during the show. And I hope you guys read it and because it's so. I mean, honestly, Al, did you just quote Chun from Rima Williams? Maybe. No, I am better than that. So yes, I will check my messages at Sexy Liberal or before Sexy Liberal for Patreon folks. So yeah, so thank you, Can't Stop Lying, big hug, and thank you, Carl, for snipe hunting in there. Yes, the Joel Grey character. Yeah. Oh, there you go. There is no try, just do. That's right. 2 superheroes in that elevator? Yeah. Well, that would be at some point going to Marvel and going, wouldn't it be great if the guy who was in the elevator with Spider-Man just turned out to be... Right. What irony. That's all I'm saying. It's all love. Thank you, and we appreciate it. Yes. Hal, in college, we put Vaseline on door handles and dorm doors and rub Limburger cheese into the door in the middle of the night. Oh, man. Lisa, you're cruel. One day we need to get a 24/7 chat room just for the faithful. I agree. Thank you, Tom. Oh, I appreciate that. Right under the wire. Look at that. I got to dye my really gray hair. Yeah, it works. Just found out 2 of my good friends who are in their 70s were tested for the coronavirus. Both tested negative, but are very ill. Oh, well, they have just standard flu. Well, I hope they get better. Yipe. But thank you, Tom. That was really sweet. All right. Hey, with the multiverse in the MCU, you could have a good excuse to show up like J.K. Simmons did. Exactly. I mean, honestly. They might need a new Iron Man in there somewhere. Just saying. It's not a bad Mr. Davenport that's a natural arc. That makes sense. Flu is nothing to sneeze at. I will. Don't make me climb through this computer. What platform are most of your chatters on? Most are on YouTube. So if you don't see them, everybody else, that's why. So there you go. All right, I'm going to go rest. Got a show tonight. You guys are wonderful. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. Wash your hands. Clean common surfaces. Cough into your elbow or sneeze into your elbow. If you can't find these bottles of hand sanitizer that are bought out everywhere, Whole Foods sells this spray hand sanitizer. This is not an ad. This is just a truth. I'm not paid to say this. These little spray bottles of hand sanitizer, and for whatever reason, they always have these in stock, even when people are buying up all of these, because they look like a little spray bottle, so nobody pays attention, and they smell like orange blossom, so they're quite lovely. So, anyways, take care of yourself. Yes, use the best thing you can do, Tom. You're absolutely right. Is use soap and water. Wash your hands. This is the in between. This is for having when you can't get to a sink or whatever. But yeah, so take care of yourselves, take care of somebody else. If you do want to support the show, please consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Price of a cup of coffee or two a month. There's multiple tiers, multiple levels, shows coming up. I just talked to Flappers. We're having more live shows. We're scheduling 2 this month, or next month in March. So I'm going to, both of those will be posted for patrons to see. For free. So you get a free comedy show every single month that would cost you a ticket price at a comedy club. You get to watch it, and if you do come to the live show, you also get into those shows for free. Those if you're ever in LA or if you're in the LA area and you come to those, you guys are my guests. Also, you get a guest +1 to all my comedy shows whenever I'm touring. Like I said, I'm still working out the stuff with Sexy Liberal. We're only doing like a guest list now, so I can get a couple of people in that way. Depends on the volume of it. Like Madison's going to be tough or whatever, but I'm going to do something special to compensate for that, so that we all have a gathering, that kind of stuff. So I do know the Flappers date. They just told me about was. They literally just brought it up. They want to do Sunday, March 15th. I think I'm out of town on that one. I think I already have a date. That's the 7th. So we'll see. Hold on. Yeah. But if I don't end up having a show on that, let's see. No, that's the avails. Hold on. I'm looking it up right now as we speak. Updated routing. There we go. No, so the next one will be March 15th, the Sunday. The next one is March 21st is Sexy Liberal. We don't have a weekend of other stuff in March. And then March 28th, there's a possible, I think Columbus moved. So the next one after that will be April 4th in D.C. And then I'm at Hyenas in Fort Worth, Texas, April 16th to 18th. Then you can look on sexyliberal.com/tour for all those dates or whatever. I'm also coming to Alaska for the first time in the end of April, end of April. So April 24th and 25th, I'm in the 49th State Theater in Anchorage, Alaska for 2 shows, and then the Firehouse Theater in Fairbanks the very next night for 2 shows, which will be fun to because I'm going to do a puddle jumper between those. If I didn't know how to fly, I would be very nervous about that section, but I feel okay about it. So there you go. So a bunch of those are coming up, but yes, the next one will probably be the 15th. Let's see. As a matter of fact, while I have you guys sitting right here, yes, on both. Cool. Wash hands, don't touch face. Mulaney's hosting SNL. Right. So, yes, again, wash your hands. Don't touch your face all the time, especially when you're out in public. If you do have hand sanitizer, like right after, it's the act of scrubbing your hands that gets the virus off of there. If you think you are sick, self-isolate as much as possible. If you can't, wear a mask. If you're traveling, wearing a mask doesn't really do anything except keep you from touching your face. So there you go. Soap and water for 20 seconds. That's right. Sing happy birthday is the whole thing, you know, or a verse of your favorite song. There you go. But anyways, you guys are wonderful. I'll see some of you tonight for Sexy Liberal. I'm going to be 360 videoing parts of it for the patrons as well. So I've got my 360 camera charging. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited. Yeah. Hal, advice. I used to work in a motel business. Get clean sheets at a motel and clean towels. Yes. Absolutely. Schmidt's All Natural Soap, have it in my vehicle. Yes. So take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. When does Camden go on spring break? I think it's like the 14th to the 17th of this month. So I get him most of that stretch. He's with his mom for the first weekend. So right after my shows, then I go get him. So there you go. Is there a fly in the room? No, there is not. I don't know. Is there? I haven't been looking around. Anyways, take care of yourself, guys. I'm going to sign off and go get some rest. I got a show tonight. Take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. Consider the value of fasting. Just throwing that out there. Maybe go do a little research on that. And I'm going to go see if Johnny Million has watched Old Greg yet. All right. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.